Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodname, joined as ever by Mr. Positivity himself. It is Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, good sir.
Yeah, and to you as well, and to our fantastic listeners. I had a great holiday. Obviously, we are not done yet because we still have New Year's coming up, and of course, great wrestling, which is just important as the holidays, just important as family time. Rob Goodwin, I know me and you text a little bit during this holidays, but tell all of our listeners and myself, how was your holiday season, or how was your Christmas, and how was your holiday season treating you thus far, good sir?
Yeah, it's been very nice. Very nice. Christmas Day is always very chaotic in our house. So we had Kirsty's mum and dad over for Christmas lunch. We then went to my family in the evening. Lovely time. I got basically an entire new podcast set up, which I attempted to set up today and yesterday. So, yeah, hopefully I won't have to go through and try and get rid of every single sound of me moving my microphone, which was always very stressful. But yes, it's going very well. There is quite a lot of mess, which is why the camera's at a slightly different angle and why my face isn't lit up. But for those who are unfortunate enough to be watching this on YouTube, that's probably for the best, because then the huge spot under my lip, which is roughly the same size as Russia, will be even more illuminated. So perhaps the lack of lights for this podcast is not a bad thing. But yes, other than that, I really can't complain. It's been a lovely time. How about you? I know that obviously you had a Christmas competition, and with Christmas now out of the way, I'm assuming that we have a winner.
We have a winner, and as in the wrestling business, we call it a squash, because this was not even close. Over the course of the weekend, myself and Lily did spend quite a bit of time in the car, which meaning that we will be getting hearing some Christmas songs, and maybe we'll be gaining some momentum on our annual Christmas song pick'em between me, my wife Amber, and my daughter Lily. Now, my wife has won this competition 3 years in a row, and she was ahead quite a bit. But over the weekend, myself and Lily picked up a lot of ground. And then my Christmas Eve is just full of just running around. Just a lot of going back home to see my parents, to see my grandfather, picking Lily up, getting ready, doing Christmas Eve dinner, which we had over my parents, which was lovely. And then coming home to go to church. So it looked like me and Lily might have been able to close the distance a little bit on Amber, but then Christmas Eve, it was all of Amber's songs. Literally 2 of Amber's songs before we even got off my road played. And that was the theme. So just to give you an idea, Amber clearly won. She beat me by 42 points and Lily by like 70 some. So yeah, we're 2 years ago. It was, I think, 4 or 5 points that she beat me by. Last year, her and Lily were neck and neck. This was an absolute beatdown, a clear beatdown. So still reigning champion, I believe 4 years running, is my wonderful wife, Amber. So yes, she wins, I think, $30 in lotto scratch offs or whatever we play it for. So yeah. So again, my Christmas was terrific as always. Amber getting another win. And speaking of numbers, Rob Goodwin, as we always say on the Stardom Cast, or just in general, life in general, wrestling is subjective, and you can like what you like, but the numbers don't lie. Now, we always thank our listeners at the end of each and every episode, and rightfully so. And we will at the end of this mammoth, what is probably going to be close to a 3-hour episode, because we have 5 shows to cover, as well as one massive show to review coming up this week, in which I'm so excited for. But I figured it is the Christmas season, and let's thank our listeners right in the beginning of this one, because me and you talk on air and off air. What an insane year this has been us for at the Stardom Cast. I mean, just the stuff, just even us, getting our pictures on beers and doing a live podcast in Philadelphia, and you signing books as we're in line to meet Stardom wrestlers, and the numbers that we see and just downloads in certain countries, just astronomical. And again, you can like what you like, but the numbers don't lie. And I'm a numbers person. I like to look at our numbers. Sometimes I look at them 2 or 3 times a day, because I like to see where we're at, what we need to improve on, and what's working, what's not working, and if we need to change direction or something like that. So I like looking at numbers. And again, the numbers we've seen all year have been absolutely fantastic. And folks, we cannot say thank you enough. So this was as of this morning, and this is courtesy of the website known as Rephonic. So as of this morning, now these numbers change usually every 12 to 24 hours. But to give you an idea, in the United States of America, which is where I live, we are the number 6 wrestling podcast. We are, as far as sports goes, in the United States, we are 107. Now, keep in mind, college football and the NFL is a big, big deal here in the United States.
That's wild.
We're in the midst of college football bowl season and playoffs, and we got the NFL's wrapping up. So there's probably about 1 million podcasts. I'm not even lying. Probably about 1 million podcasts on sports in the United States. In sports, we're 107. In Canada, thanks to my friends up north, we're the number 7 pro wrestling podcast. In the UK, which Rob Goodwin, that's where you're from. I believe so. We are the number 9 pro wrestling podcast. In the country of Denmark, we are the number 1 pro wrestling podcast.
Yes, go Denmark. Love my Danes over there.
And then Germany, we 78, Taiwan 43, Switzerland 43, Norway 47.
43 in Taiwan. What?
Yeah. So I mean, here's literally, and there's time again. I look at these numbers again. Wrestling's subjective. You can like what you like, but the numbers don't lie. And like I said, I look at these numbers quite a bit. And the one day I'm sitting on the couch and I'm sitting next to my wife. I was like, look at the Germany where we're this, and this. And she's like, those countries don't even speak English. How do I was like, I don't know, but it's insane when you see these numbers. So again, before we hit the record button, Rob was all sorts of frazzled with things going on. I was like, Rob, I'm going to set you off with some good news. And I think that's some great news. So again, from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure Rob agrees with me, I cannot say thank you enough to all of our friends, not just in the United States, not just in Canada, not just in Japan, not just in Denmark, where we are number 1. Thank you. Really. I mean, this is literally a dream come true year for me. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. So no better way to really look at that. I mean, what a great Christmas present we get a couple days after Christmas, just looking at these numbers and just blown away. So again, thank you to all of our fantastic listeners all over the global earth as we continue to cover the greatest sport in the world, which is professional wrestling.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone. It's been an interesting year. It's been a breathtaking year, really, for the Stardom cast, for both me and Matt, in terms of people listening and just the podcast doing incredibly well. So we hugely appreciate everyone that has taken the time to listen, to subscribe, to share or like a tweet or whatever it is. We massively appreciate it. So thank you very much to everyone. We hope you've had a wonderful Christmas. We hope you have spent the time safe with family and just having a generally very, very great time. And obviously coming up, we have got so much more coming up. Not least the live podcast, which we're going to be doing on the 29th of December, 8 p.m. GMT, not 8 p.m. EST, which I put out initially. 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST, where me and Matt will be live on the YouTube, on Twitter, and on Facebook, where we will be going through Dream Queendom, which, of course, is, as we record this podcast, just 2 days away, which is absolutely wow. I can't believe how quickly this year has gone in some respects. When you consider that Philly Mania was this year, seeing Stardom in the US for the first time, Micah losing the belt, Saya Kamatani's turn, all of these things that have happened, Saya Kamatani's turn feels like it wasn't that long ago. And then you look back and you're like, that was July. Like, it's been nearly 6 months since that turn, which is just nuts.
The Marigold split, EO and a co-main event at WrestleMania, like EO Mania going crazy. Yeah, it's been like, wow, like just what a year between, and Julia obviously leaving, the Joshi scene to go over to NXT, and she's crushing it. Just been a wild. Mercedes Moné working with like all the Joshis. And we're getting this weekend, we're getting the rematch with her and Chris Statlander, maybe the best AEW women's match of all time. But yeah, just a great and thankful and just a blessed year, really. And again, we can't say thank you enough to all the listeners over the world. Real quick before I forget, because I did want to make this mention at the beginning of the podcast, we were doing this podcast pretty early in the morning for me. So I just got done with my workout, which means I drank about a gallon of water and a giant protein shake. And again, folks, we have 5 shows to cover and 1 show to review. So there may be 1 or 2 bathroom breaks from both me and Rob on this episode. So if we need to tag in and out, little rock and roll express style, just our apologies. But just to give everybody heads up, there may be a few bathroom breaks on this episode.
And yeah, just on that note, again, we have got a lot to cover today. Stardom in Osaka, Stardom in Nagoya, Stardom in Hachioji, Stardom, the year-end Xmas night show, New Blood 17, and Dream Queendom. So if on those shows that we are reviewing, when we don't go through every single match in granular detail, then please understand it is because, I only have a tiny bladder. And no, just for the sake of keeping this, relatively short, trying to keep it 3 hours as opposed to the 4 hours we nearly reached last year. But yes, obviously, we're going to sort of be focusing on, on those initial shows. We're going to be focusing a lot on Tekla, Hate, and obviously the International Women's Cup as well, before moving on to some interesting things coming out of Korakuen Hall, and then, of course, New Blood 17 as well, just yesterday. But before we do that, Mr. Turner, I would ordinarily throw to you about the Patreon. However, obviously today is, no, it's not Boxing Day. It's the day after Boxing Day. Things have been a little bit iffy in regards to the uploads, and that's on me, ladies and gentlemen, with it being the Christmas time period. But why don't you go ahead and tell our absolutely tremendous patrons exactly what is in the can for them?
Folks, we just released our alternate commentary. It's a Merry Sherry Christmas, and now Rob has it stuck in my head. A Merry Merry Sherry Christmas, a Merry Merry Sherry Christmas. As everybody turns off the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. There's our listener retention down. Yeah.
But anywho, our alternate
Those
commentary.
People in Denmark are like, this is not what I signed up for.
But this is what me and Rob signed up for. Fun. Anywho,
hell yeah.
Our alternate commentary is Shuri taking on one Mayu Iwatani from last year's 5-star Grand Prix. Also, in the what has been uploaded is matches with Matt, Shuri, and Azumi from the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. And that one, what you're going to have coming up between now and the end of the year, and it may bleed over into the beginning of next year, is here's what we got, folks. What if Shuri defeated Mayu Iwatani earlier this year and captured the IWGP Women's Championship? I did that one solo, just as Rob has mentioned before, just with the holiday season. It was really tough to try to find somebody and schedule somebody to do that what if with me, but that was a really good one. I had a really fun time with that. Tag team breakdown between myself and Andy Header do the Generational Struggle 8-person tag match from last summer in Korakuen Hall, and then we top 5. Myself and Andy Header break down or review our top 5 all-time favorite Sherry matches. And then, folks, because myself and Rob can never look at a calendar, never realize that there are 5 Mondays in the month. We don't realize it until it's almost too late. So, again, apologies for the some of these episodes coming out a little later than normal. But however, our makeup is going to be, you're going to get an extra alternate commentary. So sometime next week, our alternate commentary will be Shuri defending the World of Stardom Championship against Micah. I'm really looking forward to going back with you on that one, my friend, and calling that one with you, because that is a very underrated classic from 2022 and a very underrated classic from Shuri's fantastic run as the World of Stardom Championship. And then myself and Andy Header will be doing a bonus episode, and we're going to be doing this. We're going to give this to everyone for free on the free feed. And again, this will probably be sometime into the next year. I just have to schedule when I'm recording with them, as myself and Andy Header will be reviewing one of the greatest Stardom shows of all time, the finals of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. And again, as another bonus, just as a way of saying thank you, one, for your patience for these things, for some of these episodes coming out a little bit later, and just a thank you for this remarkable year, is we're going to be pulling from the vault my complete review of Shuri's World of Stardom Championship run. So again, there's a lot of stuff on there for our Patreon members, and we say thank you. And there's a lot of stuff there for everybody on the free feed, for the weekly feed. So a lot of great stuff, and that's going to take us into 2025, which we're not taking our foot off the gas. We got a lot of really great stuff coming up in the year for 2025. So, and again, thanks to all of our Patreon members, past, present, and future.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, it is patreon.com .com/the Stardom Cast. All of this, so many more bonus episodes, as well as all of our usual episodes, early and ad free for as little as $1 a month. So we'd love to see you over there. Right, because of course we haven't podcasted in a week, and in true Stardom Cast fashion, when that happens, the day after we record, news drops. There is an absolute mountain of news we need to cover. So we're going to do our best to sort of go through it in as much detail as we possibly can. First things first, we have got 2 people making their Stardom debuts, which is incredibly exciting. The first of which was announced on Christmas Eve, and that is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena. After defeating Billy Starks for her 25th defense of that title. The reign, of course, currently stands at 745 days, which is the longest reign in Ring of Honor of any belt, irrespective of gender, which is honestly a staggering achievement from Athena. But aside from that, she came onto the screen during a pre-recorded segment saying that she is going to be making her Stardom debut on January 3rd at New Year Dream, and she's going to be teaming with Tekla. Now, Matt, as obviously as 2 people who are extremely high on Athena, big fans of Athena, the work she's been doing, her in-ring prowess, she's absolutely tremendous. She's promised a world tour. She's made no secret of the fact that she wants to wrestle in Stardom, and now we have that. So Athena is one of those, and I'm going to lump these 2 together because it turns out they're in the same match. On Christmas Day, we got a video message from Tay Melo, formerly Tay Conti of AEW. She will be returning to the ring. She has been absent from the ring since March 2023, obviously due to the birth of her and Sammy Guevara's first child. She will be making her Japanese debut January 3rd at New Year's Dream. She is going to be teaming with Mina Shirakawa against Tekla and Athena. So that match has also been set up. 2 debuts in Stardom. Matt, very, very excited. And I know that you were quite high on Tay, just before obviously she went off to have a child. And when we were talking about the partnership between AEW and Stardom, we talked about, well, who can really benefit from a tour in Stardom? And the 2 names that cropped up were Anna Jay and Tay Melo. And of course, we had Anna Jay in the 5-Star Grand Prix. People were very, very complimentary about that run and how much she improved on that run, how quickly as well she improved on that run. Obviously, I imagine this is going to be less a run for Tay Melo and more a one-shot, obviously simply because she's bringing her child over as well, as she said in the video. So exciting stuff, especially if we get an extended run for Athena.
Yeah, we made mention even when we were talking about who's going to be some of the teams for the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, and we mentioned how everybody wanted to see Anna Jay come back, and I think it was you mentioned this would be a great place for Tay Melo to make her return in that tournament. But nice little Christmas message we did get from her with her, playing with the child with Sammy Guevara in the back. I'm almost positive Sammy Guevara is on that Wrestle Dynasty show. So that's nice little family trip over to the land of the rising sun, as Sammy Guevara will get to compete in the Tokyo Dome, and Tay Melo gets to compete for, the number 1 women's wrestling company in the world in Stardom, making her debut for Stardom and a return to pro wrestling. So as much as, and as you mentioned before, partner, as much as I would love to see her have like that 4 or 5 month stay in Stardom, because she would benefit from it and so would the fans, she's a very young child, and it's very hard to kind of get away, because and the AEW schedule is perfect for for families, especially family and newborns, because they're only traveling 1 or 2 days a week, if that. So I just don't see her in Stardom for that long tour. So it might be a one-off. I'd like to see her maybe back time to time, maybe doing a pay-per-view show from here or there. But yeah, she is one that her style really fits the Stardom style, especially as a babyface, because we did see that once Sammy Guevara turned heel in AEW, Tay turned heel, and it just wasn't the same. I think her style is more of an explosive babyface. She really benefits from. So obviously she's going to be teaming with one of the most charismatic, explosive wrestlers in all of wrestling, and one Mina Shirakawa, taking on one of the biggest, baddest heels in all of wrestling, Tekla, and one Athena, who does work that aggressive heel style. She is the American Joshi. So I was shocked that Athena did retain the championship against Billy Starks at the final battle. I really thought that this was the time to put the belt on Billy Starks, especially when she came out in like Sumi Sakai style gear, which we know Sumi is retiring in just about 2.5 months' time here. So I really thought they were going to pull the trigger on it. But then when Athena did get the win, I was like, well, that does make sense, because she's going to be in the Tokyo Dome representing Ring of Honor. Why not have the belt? So I think it's only a matter of time before it does go into Billy Starks. And quick prediction here, my friend. I'm going to say that Athena wins that 4-way, which I'm sure we're going to get into, because we have obviously our Stardom representations, which once again we doubled down on, and we were right, buddy. So again, what a year for us. What a year for us. But I think Athena's going to win that 4-way, and I think she will challenge. Are you ready? Mayu Iwatani. I think that's
I think you might be right.
Yeah, or even if I think she's gonna challenge a Stardom wrestler, whether that is, and again, the 3 big singles belts in Stardom are red, white, IWGP. So obviously there's big title matches before that. So even if it's Tam, Kamatani, Natsupoi, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Mayu, Athena on the other side, I mean, that's a dream match, because Athena is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Unfortunately, she's tucked away in Ring of Honor. We don't get to see her because it's underneath the paywall. It's not on like free TV like how we do see with AEW. And again, those numbers that you mentioned, folks, you have to remember the lauded history of Ring of Honor. Those numbers that Rob just mentioned about Athena's reign, better than Nigel McGuinness's run, better than Samoa Joe's run, better than Bryan Danielson's run, better than Jay Briscoe's run, better than Jay Lethal's run, especially those two with Jay Lethal, not only as the world champion, but the television champion, better than Adam Cole. Yeah, I mean, there's some major wrestlers that have represented Ring of Honor as either the TV champion and, of course, the world champion. And Athena has more defenses and a longer run, and she's still going. Obviously, that run's not over. So I think might be time for somebody else to get that belt, and then we bring Athena over to AEW TV. But maybe before that, we get that Stardom run, my friend. We get that, or we see the Ring of Honor Championship defended over in Japan. We've seen it before with the Ring of Honor. They did it on some Pro Wrestling Noah shows and some New Japan shows. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 12 or 13 that Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole wrestled for the Ring of Honor Championship. I think Jay Lethal, Michael Elgin at the Wrestle Kingdom before. So we've seen the Ring of Honor Championships defended over here in the States. Why not have Athena defend that Ring of Honor Championship against Amina Shirakawa? Maybe that's what this match set up. Maybe a Nazumi, maybe a Suzuki, maybe a Soriano. There's a lot of dream matches that Athena can have in Japan. And this could just be the start for her. So super excited. Another like wow tag match that we're getting on the 3rd from Stardom on New Year's Dream. So I'm super excited to see Tay Melo back in the ring, because she was one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW before she took her leave to go create life, which is the greatest gift that anybody can do, my man. So that's awesome. So it's all great stuff, brother.
Yeah, obviously Athena is, when we were talking about people that we wanted to see in Stardom, Athena was one of the ones that we mentioned. And, especially when we were talking about, potential dream matches, when we were talking about, Tay Conti and Anna Jay as well coming over for, potential runs to improve in ring and things like that. Athena was just purely selfish. I want to see these dream matches, and Mayu Iwatani and Athena is a match that I would be very, very excited to see. You look at the matches that Athena's put on, Willow Nightingale was a tremendous match. Her series with Billy Starks, tremendous matches. Whoever she stepped in the ring with, she has been tremendous with. And it wouldn't surprise me, if she does this, as she's put it, world tour, and she does, maybe 3, 4, 5 shows, big shows for Stardom, and, defends the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, maybe goes for the Red Belt. Maybe that can be a title defense for, whether it's Tam and she's continuing on towards All-Star Grand Queendom, or whether it's for Saya Kamatani. I wouldn't necessarily be against her wrestling for the white belt either, but I think if Mayu Iwatani retains the IWGP Women's Championship, and it is a big if, to be fair, because I am of the opinion that she might well drop it at the Tokyo Dome to Azumi. But I think, if she does retain, her versus Athena is a money match. And let's face it, Mayu Iwatani has something of a track record in having absolute bangers.
You didn't even realize that you just made another dream match, Athena versus Mercedes Moné.
Nice.
There's a lot there. Again, Athena, great job with Ring of Honor, but I think she's past that. I think it's time to bring her up on TV.
Yeah.
I think it's, she's ran through the entire roster more than once. It's a little of the fact that they had to bring Willow Nightingale from obviously they're under the same banner, the Tony Khan banner, but they brought Willow Nightingale in for a Ring of Honor match. The Sheeta match that we saw when we were there for Super Card of Honor back in Philly was great, but she's ran through the women's division a few times. Again, it's time. Let her, again, if you're going to let her spread her wings, so to speak, because she is the fallen goddess, so to speak, in Japan. Let her do some matches with Stardom or bring some of the Stardom wrestlers, but it's time to showcase her on AEW TV. Because just imagine her and Mercedes Moné, her and Chris Statlander. I mean, there's so many great potential matchups on TV for Athena.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Hanako go over Final Battle, which sort of came out of nowhere, actually. And I know that friend of the show, Big Beer Booty Daddy, actually went and was like, oh, Hanako. I think it got announced like the day before or something, but took on Harley Cameron on the pre-show. We're seeing more and more Stardom wrestlers coming over, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see more Stardom especially in Ring of Honor, which I don't think there's a single person in the world will be disappointed at. Just quickly as well, we have got some Stardom representation all around the bloody country over today at the very, very least, because I know that Natsuko and Ruaka are challenging for the Beyond the Sea Tag Team Championships in Seedling today at Korakuen Hall. And we've also got Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora will be at Evolution 29, where they'll be taking on Chi-Chi and Zones in Chi-Chi and Aya Sakura's rapidly intensifying feud, which obviously we'll be talking about during New Blood, because that was tremendous. Just carrying on with the theme of New Year Dream, rhymed, love it. We have got the final card complete for that. That is as follows. Rian and Hanoka, who of course we saw at New Blood, they'll be teaming up against Mizuki Kato and Yuma Makoto. Nanami and Lady C versus Saya Ida and Momokogo. Hina and Ronnie Agami versus Zones and Soy. According to Peps Wrestling, who I'm taking this card off, those three will be on the pre-show, so presumably they will be on YouTube free for all. We've then, as we've just mentioned, got that tag team match, Mina Shirakawa and Tay Melo versus Tekla and Athena. We've got a high-speed battle royal, Saki Kashima versus Yuna Mizumori versus Waka Tsukiyama versus Kohaku versus Motoi Hamabe. Another tag team match, Hanan and Manami versus Ruaka and Rina. Sendai Girls Junior title match, Chi-Chi the champion versus Aya Sakura. We've got that Tokyo Dome preview match, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Meisera versus Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, and Hazuki. Plug it into my veins, I believe is the phrase. Cosmic Angel, Sioriano, Natsuko, and Sayaka Kurora will be taking on the team of Natsuko Tora and the Villainous Alliance, Dun Matsumoto and Zap. We've then got Cup High Mate, Maika and Hanako. They will be taking on Team 200K, G.U. and Chihiro Hashimoto. And then currently slated to be your main event is the singles match between Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka. And I do wonder, Matt, should Tam retain at Dream Queendom, I do think that they will make that a red belt match.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good possibility. I really wasn't even thinking about that. I thought it'd just be a special singles match. But we saw with Marigold just yesterday, as of this recording, they decided to put a title match on literally last second. So, and again, we'll talk about that next week when we record the Marigold Standard and all the fantastic wrestling going on there. So, yeah, it's a possibility. If Tam retains, then maybe Unagi comes out and says, "Let's make this for the World of Stardom Championship." So that's, I figured they would go with Shuri, but maybe they can go with Shuri afterwards on the third. But again, that's if she retains. I kind of, and again, we'll get into in the preview, there's a lot of people that thinking that we're seeing a title change here with Saya Kamatani getting the win. So, and what's great about not only the main event, but the co-main event of Dream Queendom is both those matches are up in the air. And if you go with Poi, it's the right move. If you go with Starlight Kid, it's the right move. If you go with Tam or Kamatani walking out with the richest prize in all of wrestling, the World of Stardom Championship, it's really the right move because all four wrestlers have been built up really well, and the storyline and the feuds going in have been really well. So, yeah, that's a good possibility that they do make that for the World of Stardom Championship, and a really good way to your last push for tickets. Again, Dream Queendom, it looks like this thing's going to sell out, which is crazy. I mean, I'm expecting maybe over 4,000 tickets. So, what, over 4,000 people in the building, and then how many thousands of people watching worldwide? Great way to sell tickets, a great way to sell pay-per-view. That after the show, if, and again, it's a big if Tam does retain, Unagi comes out and they make this for the World of Stardom Championship, just a handful of days later, really great last-minute push for tickets. That would be some really smart marketing. And obviously, with the ticket sales we've seen over the last 5-6 months, the marketing team of Stardom is doing a great job. So that makes simple booking. But ultimately, though, this is a really, really solid card with some dream tag matches that we never thought we would see. And I'm really excited to see how much the Cosmic Angels are going to be bumping around for one Dump Matsumoto. Really, really, because we saw Mina Shirakawa, and we keep saying we'll never mention the show again. We mentioned about 50 times, and that's just applauding Mina and Waka for their effort in that tag match they had at last year's Halloween show. And again, they were bumping all around for Dump Matsumoto. God bless her. And Natsupoi and Soriano, they are the bumping machine. So I'm really interested to see just the insane amount of bumps they're going to take for the legend that is Dump Matsumoto. Ultimately, a really, really solid card. But a lot of wrestlers from all over the country, all over the world, really, on that show. Like, who would have thought we would have saw Athena? Who thought we would have seen Tay Melo? We've been wanting to see Team 200 kg in Stardom for quite a while. We're getting that match. Unagi back in Stardom in the main event, taking on a red hot. See what I did there? Tam Nakano, Chi-Chi, and Aya Sakura, who was like, oh, that's going to be a good match. And they really put some gasoline on that fire on these shows. I was like, oh, I was interested in that match before. Now I'm really, really sold on it. And again, we're just doing a great job building up to Azumi and Mayu coming up on the 4th for Wrestle Kingdom by the match that you just mentioned, the 6-person tag match with the Mayu-led team versus Azumi-led team, and what may possibly be the greatest 8-person tag match in the history of pro wrestling coming up on Dream Queendom with Team Mayu representing Stars and Team Azumi representing Neo Genesis. So again, we're doing a great job final second pushes to sell some tickets for Azumi and Mayu coming up on the Tokyo Dome. Ultimately, just another really, really solid card that's going to be a very restless January 3rd for both me and you in the best way possible, because I will be glued into this chair, Rob, literally to the point where my sweet mother-in-law for Christmas bought me a brand new chair. So she's like, you might have worn that one out, so I got you a new one for Christmas. So I might be, yes, I might be literally sitting in the new chair because she even said, she goes, Amber asked me what to get you for Christmas, and she goes, you're going to be in that chair quite a bit for holiday break, she said. She's not kidding. She's not kidding, because as of yesterday, I watched 4 shows for Marigold and Stardom. So I was in this chair from about 10 o'clock until about 6:30 yesterday, and no complaints, brother. None, because it's all great stuff, man. And we're just blessed to be able to watch it and blessed to be able to podcast and chat about it. And we're so glad that we have the listenership that we do.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting as well that more matches are actually scheduled to be announced, because just looking through that card, there are significant names missing. Momo Watanabe, Saya Kamatani, Suzu Suzuki, Starlight Kid, I think, is missing as well. So there is room for this card to become even bigger, which is crazy when you consider this is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that 12 matches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it's 11 matches. So it's already 11 matches long. And we don't have Momo, Konami, Saya Kamatani, and then obviously Starlight Kid. There's quite a few missing.
Is Fukin Death on the card?
No. So obviously the main event hasn't been announced yet.
Fuki Death and the Repo Man. There you go. Sell out.
I mean, yeah. So we could potentially have quite a few more matches added up, which, is going to be absolutely nuts. Moving on then to another show that is taking place on the 3rd, and that is Marigold First Dream 2025. They have announced the full card, and this did happen about an hour after we finished recording, which was just like, for God's sake. But this show is another one that looks really, really good. So this is obviously going to air as a Wrestle Universe pay-per-view. And the full card is as follows. So we've got the Marigold New Year Rumble. We have had participants for that announced. Misa Matsui, Kazuna Tanaka, Hummingbird, Ria Saito, Kamomo Minami, Minami Yuki, Naho Yamada, Ryoko Sakamura, and Nagisa Takibana, who, of course, we saw debut on yesterday's Korakuen Hall show as we record. Hamuka Hoshi, Yuki Masahiro, Riara, Momoka Hanazono, Nightshade, and perhaps the greatest announcement, the return of Flying Penguin, of course. Some really interesting names on there, including the reigning Ice Infinity champion, Yuki Masahiro. We've also got on this card, obviously, Seri Yamaoka versus Mirai. The Passion Sisters, Nanae Takahashi and Naoya Ishikawa, taking on Meiko Satomura and Yuna. Obviously, both Nanae and Meiko will be retiring in 2025. So to see them mix it up again together is going to be very, very special. Incredibly excited for that. GHC Women's Championship match, Koki Amare, the champion, defending for the first time against Chika Goto. Marigold Superfly Championship match, Natsumi Shizuki, the champion, defending against Victoria Yuzuki. We also have the announcement of Bozilla's mystery partner for the Twin Star Championships match, as the Dark Wolf Army, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, will take on Bozilla and the Netherlands-born Tank, who we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. And then your semi-main event, Marigold United National Championship match, Miko Ueno defending against Mai Sakurai. And then, of course, your main event of the evening, Sari, the champion, defending her Marigold World Championship against Utami Hayashishita. So, Matt, some exciting things to talk about there. Tank the Iron Lady is Bozilla's mystery partner. She's been currently playing a trade in Europe, a relatively new wrestler. I think she's only wrestled something like 40 odd matches. She's 5'11", over 200 pounds. It looks like her and Bozilla are going to make good on Bozilla's promise to cause damage in this championship match. But yeah, a very strong card. The surprise addition of Meiko Satomura, which I was like, absolutely big fan of this. But yeah, overall, I think a really, really good card. And I'm looking forward to seeing this. 3rd of January is going to be a very, very busy day, as you've already mentioned.
In the best way possible. And then once we get our 2 hours of sleep, then it's Wrestle Kingdom the next morning, which it looks like Azumi and Mayu is going to be early. So no disrespect to anybody at the end of that card. They're Uncle Matt might be seeing the back of his eyelids, but anywho, I will try my best. But yeah, if you remember last week on the Marigold Standard with Bozilla saying I'm bringing somebody in that's going to cause a lot of damage, and I was like, oh, Damage Control Dakota Kai. For you Dumb and Dumber fans out there, the greatest comedy of all time, I pulled a Samsonite because I was way off. So, but yeah, that's going to be interesting because I know very little about Tank, but they've done a great job building up the Bozilla match with the Dark Wolf Armory, especially again on the Corkin show, which we will cover when we record early next week for the Marigold Standard, because they've just been pumping out great shows. And speaking of doing a great job building up certain matches, that main event did a great job building up some title matches, especially with Utami and Sari. We always make mention that Marigold does a great job giving us just a little sample of what we're going to get in that big championship match, where we got a big bite, maybe even 2 bites of what Sari and Utami is going to look like. And it looks like that might be, on these slew of shows for Wrestle Kingdom week, that might be the best match out of, whether it's New Japan, whether it's Stardom, whether it's AEW, whether it's a Wrestle Dynasty. There's a very good possibility in about a week or so's time, when we're wrapping everything up from this mammoth week of phenomenal wrestling over Japan, where we might be saying Utami and Sari might be the best match. It really could, because I mean, those two, Utami is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Sorry, what she's been able to do since she's been back from her excursion, as we'll call it, over in NXT is really next level. They've done a great job building that matchup. Sari's been so super aggressive, and those Uranagi she hit on Utami at the there was 3 or 4 of them that she hit on Utami in the middle of Korakuen Hall were really, really brutal. So yeah, just an excellent card, start to finish. But that main event for me, that's where the money is. Again, that may be the best match of this entire run of shows, literally starting in 2 days' time up until the 5th or 6th. So yeah, they're really excited for it, my friend. Both those shows, both from Marigold and Stardom, are absolutely loaded. And one of the many reasons why I say Tribalism Pro Wrestling is dumb, because if you think you need to pick and choose between one, you're going to miss out on a great show. So be like myself and Rob and just enjoy all of it, because me and him, we're going to try to fit both these shows in on the 3rd, but super excited to watch them and super excited next week to talk about them both on the Stardom cast and the Marigold Standard, respectively, good sir. And we're having commentary from Stu and Sunny, which they did a great job, again, as always, on this Korakuen show just the other day.
Yeah, and we will be releasing a sort of preview episode on the 30th of December, where we'll talk about, obviously, the Twin Star Cup, which I'm not going to spoil, even though it was a couple of weeks ago now. But I'm going to leave that for, obviously, the Marigold Standard. But we're going to talk about that. We're obviously going to talk about the Korakuen Hall show as well, which did end up being Myla Grace's final match of her tour of Japan. And, she is a real highlight of the last couple of months, because she has really developed, and obviously she has now been announced for shows in my neck of the woods in the UK for Attack Pro Wrestling. So best of luck to Myla. Hopefully it is not the last time we see her in Japan or in a Marigold ring. Someone who wasn't on the show from the 26th, unfortunately, was Victoria Yuzuki. Marigold did announce that, and this was very last minute, so it must have been the morning of, that unfortunately Victoria Yuzuki would be missing from the card because she tested positive for influenza. So the main event was initially supposed to be Koki Amare, Sari, Mai Sakurai, and Natsumi Shiozuki against Utami Hayashishita, Mai Sakurai, and Chika Goto and Victoria Yuzuki. Obviously, with Yuzuki's illness, she was taken off the card, and they then also took Natsumi Shiozuki off the card so that she could then do Japanese commentary as well. Thankfully, it's not an injury or anything like that. Obviously, influenza can be really nasty. So fingers crossed Victoria Yuzuki is fit and healthy, ready for her Superfly Championship match at First Dream, a match that a lot of people believe that she is going to win. And again, I talked about Myla Grace's development being a highlight. Victoria Yuzuki, I can't say enough good things about her. She really is going to be at the very summit of Joshi in the coming years. So fingers crossed, because I feel like this is the first big step in Yuzuki's career. But yes, unfortunately, not on Korakuen Hall due to illness. Moving on then, Matt. Final thing from Marigold that I want to talk about is that we have the official confirmation of some sort of schedule for their year-end countdown show in Shinkiba on the 31st of December. So what is going to happen is there aren't any matches per se. We do have a rookie of the year tournament. Now, no bracket has been announced because it's going to be done via lottery on the night, 31st of December, 10 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. The participants have been announced, and that's going to be Kamomo Minami, Minami Yuki, Naho Yamada, Ryoko Sakamura, and Nagisa Takibana. So they are all going to be in the Rookie of the Year tournament. I'm glad that Marigold are bringing that back, especially with the slew of rookies that both Marigold and Stardom appear to have found from somewhere. I don't know where they're growing them, some sort of vat, I imagine, backstage. And we also have confirmation of the Marigold Rumble, with a competitor emerging every minute. We also have the Marigold Awards, the end of year awards. The categories are going to be MVP, Best Match, Best Tag Team, special achievement, fighting spirit. Now, I wasn't sure about this last one, and hopefully someone will be able to tell me if it's 2 awards or 1 award. Skill and shine. I don't know if that's 1 award or 2 awards. Anyway, I've sort of put it as 1. I think it's 1 award. But yes, I'm looking forward to seeing who Marigold believe are the winners of these. And I thought, Matt, just before we delve into these final bits of news and into the absolute Leviathan-like episode that we're actually doing today, very, very quickly, just off the top of your head, I'm going to give you an award. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your head. Okay? Are you ready?
This is from Marigold, right? Because every answer would be every answer would have been Fuki and Death. Okay, no problem. Okay,
maybe it has to be anyway. Doesn't matter if she's never wrestled in Marigold. Yes. Her presence is enough. MVP.
Sorry.
Okay. Best match.
Best match would be Utami and Io.
I knew you'd say that. Best tag team match.
Best tag team match would be Utami and Koki Amare versus Mirai Sakurai from the Korakuen show. I think it was 2 Korakuens ago. Okay,
yeah, fair enough. Special achievement.
Vittoria Yuzuki.
Yep. Fighting spirit.
Fighting spirit. Let's go Kazuna Tanaka with that back brace, and she's still crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Absolutely. And let's call it 1 award. Skill and shine.
Skill and shine, let's go with Nanae Takahashi, because if it's not Sari, that's the MVP. It's either Utami or Nanae Takahashi. So let's give it to her. Oh, also fighting spirit, you can maybe give to Nao Ishikawa. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of right answers there. There really is.
That's who I'd have given fighting spirit to, would be Nao Ishikawa. I do agree with you on the vast majority of those. I think an argument could be made for best match, perhaps being Sari and Nanae Takahashi. It has been given the Dave Meltzer kiss of approval, the 4 3/4 stars.
That's what we need to. That's what we need to cut. What we'll do is we're going to come out with a new shirt, which is a picture of Dave Meltzer and like the lips and like the kiss lips that like Mariah May had on her shirt, and like 4 3/4 stars. Real quick, my man, you did make mention of all these rookies coming, and you wondering where they're coming from. They got to be coming from Fuki and Death's lab, right? That would be my guess.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Death,
Dr. Fuki and Death.
Exactly.
Carrie Williams.
Best tag team match. I genuinely think the main event of Korakuen Hall from the 26th has got to be up there. That was such a good tag team match. There's also the match from Marigold Feels Forever.
Are you talking about the first?
26th.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think that was a tremendous tag team match. And then, of course, you've got the tag team match from the main event of that first show. Julia and Utami versus Sari and Bozilla. Like that set the stage so well. It was so good. There's quite a few different things that I would that you could possibly choose, but I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So that will be definitely live on Wrestle Universe. I'm not entirely sure if it will be on WrestleVerse's YouTube channel as the Korakuen Hall was, but you can check that out. Moving on then to the last couple of bits of news. Mayu Iwatani has been announced for Sumi Sakai's retirement match. We talked about on the last podcast that Sumi Sakai would be retiring from pro wrestling on January the 11th. Battle in the Valley. It'll be a 6-person tag. Team Sumi versus Team Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu Takahashi has effectively just assembled the Avengers, because it's Hiromu Takahashi, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki, which is just like, what? At what point did you think you'd see Yuka and Mayu on the same team? Incredible stuff. That is a dream team. Sumi went a very different way.
She did. She did. She's watching those hate matches.
Absolutely. She was very much of the opinion of, right, well, I see what you've done there. I see what you've done. Well, I'm going to bring in Evil and Show of the House of Torture, and someone actually made a very, very, very good point about Evil. It shows how highly he's thought of backstage, because he's Hiroshi Tanahashi's second to last Tokyo Dome opponent. He's in Sumi Sakai's retirement match. And again, it was I can't remember who said it on social media, but it is a really interesting way of looking at it, because a lot of people were like, oh, evil. And, yeah, House of Torture evil is not the best, granted. But I think it is really interesting to look at it as a case of, actually, he's that well thought of, that people want to be in the ring with him. People want to wrestle him. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting match, that. I cannot wait to see how Mayu Iwatani takes on Evil. Very excited. Very excited.
Wasn't Evil married or dated Io Shirai for quite some time? So maybe that's the correlation. Maybe because Mayu and Io are like best friends.
I believe they're still engaged. I believe they're still together.
Well, maybe Mayu gives us a few super kicks and said this one's for Io for not, getting her 2 dozen roses for Valentine's Day 4 years ago.
Maybe.
That's a possibility. Rob, we've seen so many dream matches over the last 2 or 3 years in the world of Joshi, with Mayu and Mercedes, with Mayu and Sari, with the 200 team TK versus Cup High Mate, which you did fantasy book and got that right. And as you're running down this match, say Team Hiromu wins, or even if they lose, what's it to Yuko Saka? Again, if Mayu's still the champion, what if Yuko goes, yeah, I want next shot of that? Or that doesn't even need a belt. They're just like, hey, next time we're here, let's do Yuko, obviously, because she's under AEW contract, so she's stateside. Obviously, we've been seeing the Stardom wrestlers, quite a bit of them go over the United States to do either the independents, the GCWs, the AEWs, the Ring of Honors, or these New Japan Strong shows. What's not to say that we get a Yuka versus Mayu match somewhere down the line? That would be terrific. But not only that, but I believe already announced on this card too is Hanako Izumi, Mina Shirakawa, and I think Micah. I think there's a lot of Stardom participation on this show. So then it's like we're throwing Mayu in there. Okay, we get Yuka. Terrific. Again, she's obviously under AEW contract, but she's a Tokyo Joshi Pro wrestler. So, and obviously we know that those two, they didn't get along with the old regime. Who knows? Maybe with the new regime, maybe something gets worked out again. I mean, we've seen Stardom wrestlers pop up everywhere over the last 7-8 months. But yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting, because I figured that maybe Sumi Sakai would have recruited another female, but no, she just was like, no, I'm going all House of Torture. But really, really interesting match there, and a match that, again, it's Sumi Sakai. I'm sure she handpicked who she wanted on her side and on opposite ends, and who can go wrong with arguably the greatest women's wrestler of all time on the opposite side, and one Mayu Iwatani. So yeah, really, really great stuff, and really interesting to see how the rest of that card is going to fill out. And again, I would not be shocked if we see a title challenge from Mercedes Moné if she retains at the Tokyo Dome on the 5th, because she's been absolutely crushing it on these shows in the United States, defending the New Japan Strong Championship, especially against the Stardom wrestlers, which she knows that she wants to go through that whole roster. Nobody's going to say no, because she's been putting on stellar matches wrestling the Stardom wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't know a great deal about TJPW. I think it was more a case of they prefer their own little bubble as opposed to I know that they will rock up in like DDT and stuff like that, but that's because they have, the Wrestle Universe partnership. So I don't know. And I think Yuka is actually, unless I'm very much mistaken, I don't think she's a member of TJPW anymore.
No, she's not. I'm just saying that it's interesting. She signed with AEW, and then like a week later she blew out her knee. I was like, and finished the match. And then finish
she's a badass. That's why
she is. She's 4'8" and is an absolute badass. So I'm just saying it's really cool to see somebody that was like part of that backbone of Tokyo Joshi Pro. That again, I know she's under contract with AEW, so that's why the match is happening. But it's again someone that's been one of the backbones versus the backbone, the icon of Stardom on the same side. Oh, by the way, they're teaming with Hiromu Takahashi, maybe the best New Japan junior in the last 4 or 5 years. So really cool. And it's Sumi Sakai's retirement match in the United States on the West Coast. So really, really great stuff.
Yeah. If you can, to be honest, you don't even need a story to book Mayu Iwatani versus Yuka Sakazaki. I just want to see it. If Mayu retains at Wrestle Kingdom, that should be your All-Star Grand Queendom match. Yes, I agree. It won't happen, but again, you should be like,
I don't know, man. We've been doing pretty good. Maybe our luck runs out. Maybe it's like, here's the Stardom cast luck bubble. Like, okay, they're wrong all the time. We're gonna take everything that they have, and as I Dusty Rhodes elbow on my microphone. We're going to put all in 2024, and then they're just going to pitch a 0 in 2025. But who knows? Remains to be seen. But regardless, whoever Mayu wrestles for that belt or doesn't wrestle for or if she does lose the belt to Azumi, she's Mayu. It's going to be great matches regardless.
Final thing to talk about then in terms of this news, we're going to go to Stardom World, which has received a fresh design. It's received that fresh coat of paint that we have been so desperate for. Obviously, English broadcast team and PR coordinator Tom Fain did announce this over Twitter, that the site has been given a fresh design with content significantly easier to find. And I can attest to that. Yes, it is easier to find. It has made things like it's far more similar to New Japan World now. And what I do like is that you have specific sections for all of the World of Stardom title defenses, all the Wonder of Stardom title defenses, high speed, blah, 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 blah. But the function that they're obviously building this around is that you were able to search for matches in English, because before, when you looked it up, you would search Mayu Iwatani and it'd be like, Stardom World has found 3 matches. You're like, I'm pretty sure Mayu Iwatani has wrestled more than 3 matches for Stardom. But it does work. Obviously, it's made alternate commentary so much easier. And yeah, it's generally a lot easier to navigate. Now, Fane has signed off his tweet by saying there are more updates to come. It wasn't specific about whether that was to Stardom World. Fingers crossed, it could be. But very exciting that the website has had something of a redesign and a reshuffle. Because again, for $6 a month, which is about £4.50, it is very, very, very good, very affordable.
Yeah, I think what Tom means, and obviously Tom's a good friend of ours and a big supporter of what we do. I think what Tom meant, and I can't confirm this, Rob, what he meant by more updates to come is that more updates on his jacket. I think he's going to be putting more. Yeah, he wants to look more like Jim Cornette in like 88, 89 polyester king. That is Tom Fain. But no, in all seriousness, they've done a great job with that website. If I can get a little greedy here, can we please put Mayu versus Mako from the 2015 year-end climax match for the World of Stardom Championship?
Io and Mako, not Mayu and Mako. Is Mayu and Mako not on there either?
Is that what I said? I wanted to see if Rob was paying attention. Yeah, Io and Mako Satomura from Io's big title win at the end of 2015. One of the best matches in Stardom history, which it's tough to find, not unless you fork out the dollars and you get them on fancy Blu-ray comps, which I think I have them on 4 different Io.
I was just going to say, I know that you absolutely have, so.
Sure do, sir. Sure do. But yeah, in all seriousness, great job from Tom over there, just redoing the website. Everything, the colors pop, the new banner looks good. It's easier to find things. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The fact that you can navigate the screens a little bit better, it does make things a lot easier. And it seems like the website's running a lot quicker. So a lot of times I'll be watching a match and it'll just freeze, and I'll have to click off it, click on another match, and then click on it back again. And since this new upgrade, week, 2 weeks, I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. So yeah, really great job. And maybe the update he is talking about, fingers crossed, maybe 2025, we get an app, very much like we have with New Japan World and Wrestle Universe.
That's the dream. Absolutely. That is the dream. That is the Wrestle dream. Let's move on then. Oh no, I'm just so good sometimes. Let's move on then. We have got an absolute stack of shows to get through. So we'll start all the way back on the 20th of December. Stardom did back-to-back shows in crowning their International Women's Cup representative. And we started Friday, the 20th of December, Stardom in Osaka 2024 December. These are all live on Stardom World. This was from Edion Arena, Osaka, number 2. The attendance, 417. A little bit interesting. Stardom have run the venue a total of 49 times now, which makes it the 3rd most run in their history, behind only Shinkiba Thirst Ring, which they've run 212 times, and Korakuen Hall, which they've run 157. Well, 158 now. The 417 announced falls just shy of the company's average at the venue, which currently sits at 423. It is a 21.2% increase on the last time Stardom were in Edion Arena Osaka #2, which was back on the 11th of October when they drew 344 people. It's worth noting that there are going to be 2 people missing from the show. Hanako is missing from all 3 of these shows because she is obviously in the US as a part of Final Battle. And Tekla will be missing from this show because she is suspended. Okay? She is suspended.
Yeah, for beating up fans. Yeah. Can't be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just worth noting, she's not on this show at all. Anyway, let's go through the results on this card. We open with a singles match. Maika defeating Motoi Hamabe with the anchor Toshi in 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Tag team match, God's Eye, Tomoka Inaba and Lady C defeated the EXV team of Waka Tsukiyama and Rian, with Lady C pinning Waka with the reverse Oklahoma Stampede in 9 minutes and 33 seconds. Seems like a while since we've seen Lady C pick up a victory. 8-woman tag team match next. The Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki Koguma, and Momo Kogo defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamatani, Konami, and Ruaka. Mayu pinning Ruaka with the moonsault in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. International Women's Cup qualification 4-way match. Momo Watanabe defeated Yuna Mizumori, Hanan, and Saki Kashima. Momo Watanabe pinning Yuna with a Hitodanashi driver in 10 minutes and 16 seconds. Oh, but that only tells you half the story. International Women's Cup qualification 4-way electric boogaloo number 2. Syuri defeated Sayuri, the Fukin Death, and Rana Yagami. Syuri pinning Rana with the Ruin in 10 minutes and 31 seconds. And then in your main event, 10-woman tag team match, the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, Shiori Ano, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora defeated the Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid, Azumi, Suzu Suzuki, Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki, with Natsupoi submitting Starlight Kid with the cross arm breaker in 17 minutes and 56 seconds. So, Matt, obviously, before we hit into these International Women's Cup qualification 4-ways, what would you like to talk about in relation to these opening 3 matches? I will just say before you say anything, did you happen to listen to the post-match between Maika and Motoi Hamabe?
I didn't, which is really where I want to start. It's actually kind of funny because we said we're not going to go through every single one of these because there's 5 shows, every single one of them. I want to start with the first match because Maika, obviously, I believe she's a black belt in judo. I know she's a judoka. We can see that from the way she grapples and the way she throws people around. And Motoi Hamabe, we know that she has some sort of shoot background and she wants to join God's Eye, which would probably be the perfect place from her. These 2 were great with the grappling, the hand fighting, the wrist controls, the way I was like, this is excellent. I was going to text you and I was like, I got sidetracked with something else. And this is a great way to start these slew of shows we're going to talk about. And again, by no means is it Mike and Shuri. By no means is it Shuri and Julia. But this was a great match. Maika, again, the top wrestler in this company, her, Mayu, Tam, Kamatani, probably their big 4 right now, gives Motoi a decent amount to shine, only to put away with the Anka Toshi. But I thought these 2 had great chemistry, and it really, really showed Motoi's, her strengths. We've seen her be able to hang with some of the high-speed wrestlers, Azumi and Natsupoi, and able to fire back on some of the hard-hitting stuff. But Maika does a great job exploiting Motoi's strengths. And again, for somebody who's only had, 14, 15 matches, she's great here. Really great stuff. Great grappling back and forth. I had it at 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was a great way to start this show. But no, partner, please do enlighten me. What was the backstage comments? Because as always, the best place for me to get my Stardom news is on the Stardom Cast live with you, good sir. But no, what was their backstage discourse?
It was just Maika asking Motoi who she wanted to join, and then every time Motoi tried to say God's Eye, Maika would cut her off. And then
great.
when she finally said it, Maika was like, there's already too many people in God's Eye. What I think you should do is, I think you should team with EXV as practice before you make any decisions. So Maika's effectively bullied the rookie into potentially joining EXV. And we saw at the end of New Blood as well. I don't know if you noticed this, but Rian trying to get her to do the EXV symbols, trying to position her fingers into the
that's what that was about.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? And it's been actually something that's actually popped up online this past week, that Rian throwing gang signs when she comes out. So I don't know if it's EXV or she started part of the Japanese mob. You may have to edit that out for future content. But she comes out and she's throwing all sorts of gangs. I don't know if Rihanna's in part of a gang or what's going on. She might be a gang member over there in the Korakuen Hall. But I did notice at the end of New Blood. So thank you for giving me the context on it. Now I know why.
There you go.
So, Motoi Hamabi is almost like Yuzuki a year or so ago, where everybody was trying to get her, and she just wants to join God's Eye, and everybody's like, no. Like maybe Sherry should be like, okay, you can come on over. Maybe that's the big payoff at the end of these shows over the next week or so. But I love it. I think she's great, Rob. I think she's terrific.
She is very, very, very good. Let's move on then to these International Women's Cup qualification matches, because it feels like, this show was very top heavy in matches. I don't want to say matches with meaning, but you know what I mean. These 2 qualification 4-ways and then a fantastic 10-woman main event. The first one, Momo Watanabe, obviously qualified, which is absolutely the right decision. Obviously, this happened courtesy of some interference. Hanan appeared to have the victory over Yuna when the referee was pulled out of the ring by what looked like a fan. And do you know what, man? You're never going to believe this. Tekla, who does not obey rules, did not obey the rules of her suspension and just turned up. Imagine. She came out, attacked Hanan, basically allowing Momo to get the win with a hit of the Nashi driver. Hanan is furious. Momo is obviously the first one into the finals, but following this interference, Hanan begs President Taro Okada to waive the suspension so that she can allow a tag match or a 6-woman tag. I think it was a 6-woman tag on the following night, so she could reap revenge on Tekla. No news on whether Tekla will be paying the $2,000 fine that was levied at her. She has made it abundantly clear in interviews that she is not paying that. But yes, it was a decent angle. I'm a fan of it because obviously we're building now towards that Goddesses of Stardom championship match. Obviously, it makes complete sense for Tekla to have an issue with Hanan. Sayurida and Hanan went through the Goddess of Stardom Tag League in lieu of, or, in place of Hate Supreme, Momo and Tekla, so it makes perfect sense. And obviously, Tekla's got an issue with idols, and though Hanan is not an idol, she fits that mold. So it does make sense. It also makes sense that your big bad heel is not going to obey rules. However, it does raise the issue with Taro Okada. You've got Natsukatora randomly changing clauses in contracts. You've got Tekla just flat out ignoring your suspensions. I would argue that some order needs establishing in Stardom. It's getting beyond a joke now.
You may need even a new world order. Kevin Nash to Stardom confirmed. Here you go, folks.
Commissioner Nash.
Yeah, but this match did a lot. You start off with Yuna and Saki Kashima going high speed, just anytime because again, the high speed division is kind of thin. But they made a great high-speed match in Korakuen Hall, which we'll get into over the course of the next 2 hours when we get there. But anytime they want to tap Yuna Mizumori or Saki Kashima to go for that high-speed championship, it's right there. And there's a really good preview they did there. Ultimately, this match really did a few things. One, we got Momo into the one of the final 4-way to qualify for Wrestle Dynasty coming up on the 5th of January in the legendary Tokyo Dome. But you're absolutely right. Hanan gets the win here. And all of a sudden, we completely forgot that, Tekla, we know she's going to be back on the 29th. She wasn't at the press conference. She was kind of out of sight, out of mind. So when she came in, I think everybody knew, oh, that's got to be Tekla. And that makes sense because not only did you get Momo to qualify, but you're also putting more steam on the championship match coming up on the 29th. That's already a loaded card. And the fact that Hanan pulls the big baby face move almost takes Tekla's bait, and to be saying, I'm so mad that I cannot wait to the 29th. I want her tomorrow in a tag match. So that gives a lot of babyface credibility to Hanan, but it also gives Tekla that sinister, smart, haha, this was my plan all along. Interfere in the match. 1, I got my tag partner to qualify for the Dome. 2, I got Hanan so mad, sweet Hanan so mad, Cinderella Hanan so mad that she got me reinstated 10 days before my suspension is supposed to be up. So a lot got accomplished in this match, and kudos to Stardom putting all these pieces in play, getting it all done in about 11 minutes time. That really is maximizing your minutes. The match was good. I had it 3 and 3/4 stars. I thought it was a solid outing, but ultimately it was one to put Momo in the get her closer to that Tokyo Dome, and two, put more steam on this tag title match, and they did it perfectly. And again, I just want to shout out Yuna and Saki Kashima, because I know they were kind of like almost pawns in this game with this four-way, but rightfully so. Like, that's what the focus was on, but still they played their roles really well. The way they started the match, the way Saki Kashima, her comedy is so funny. You still thought there's a possibility she can pull out a win here. And Yuna Mizumori, her closing stretch with Momo Watanabe was really, really good. Again, another singles match I would love to see somewhere down the line. But really solid stuff, great booking, great storytelling as we're building towards not only Dream Queendom, but Wrestle Dynasty as well. Again, 3 and 3/4 stars for me.
Yeah, completely agree. It does feel, especially in this match, and I feel like for the four ways as a whole, really, that, obviously we know that all of the women in the ring are capable of so much more. They did feel very much like, sort of vehicles to get the people qualified that needed to be qualified. This one in particular. But I think what they did do was they raised other stories there, which was really good and really obvious with the Tekla interference. Obviously, the second woman into the four-way is Syuri, with her defeating Ronnie Yagami, Zairida, and Fuking Death. We were so close to getting Tokyo Dome Clown, and legitimately, I know I'm joking, but that close call with the O'Connor roll, legitimately thought that she was going to win. I was like, this cannot be what we end up with. Can you imagine if Fuking Death flukes her way to the Tokyo Dome? Like, what? But no, obviously, Syuri ended up with the victory. And do you know what? I'm going to go out and say it. I want to see Syuri versus Zairida.
Ooh, I want to see that match, good sir. I want to see that match. But you're absolutely right. Again, as much as we joke about it, we love all of wrestlers, especially in Stardom. We do love some Fuking Death. We really, really do. But we we have some fun with it. It's part of a shtick that just seems to caught on very much, like my wife's hate for one Tam Nakano, which I'm trying to get her to come on the live podcast on the 29th. I don't think it's going to happen. But regardless,
try.
Yeah, if you don't ask, the answer is always no, Rob. I still have 2 days. But anywho, you're right, though. There was some very close calls, and I'm like, oh, my God. For like a split second, there was like 2 or 3 of them that I thought she was going to get the win here. But this was a terrific pro wrestling match. You start with Syuri and Ronnie Yagami really grinding each other down with great wrestling. They're part of the same faction. Saida's a hard hitter, and they're doing all this great stuff, and Fuking Death is just walking. She's just walking through. She's got the newspaper. So you have the comedy stuff, and you have 3 of the hardest hitters in this wrestling company trying to vie for a spot in the Tokyo Dome. So I thought that was really good stuff. Kerry Oniyama, Fuking Death, she picks her spots when she needs to. That's just the genius that is the Mad Clown. But you're right, Syuri and Saida, some really, really hard-hitting stuff. Rana and Saya as well. But ultimately, though, it is Syuri getting the win over Ronnie Yagami. They had a great closing stretch. These two just wailing on each other. I thought this was terrific. This was darn near like a must-see match because, again, you have the hard-hitting aspect of Saida, of Ronnie Yagami, of Syuri. Then you have the comedy and I can get you at any time of Fuking Death, and the way they were able to gel everything. It fit so well. The psychology was solid on. The crowd was really into it, especially at the end. I had this at a high rating, partner. I had this at 4.25 stars. I thought this was terrific. I thought that was great.
Wow, okay, that is a high rating. But again, I suppose that is the Fuking Death effect.
It's like the grading on a curve. Not to, I mean, sure, she's okay. Rana, she might do some things. Saida, whatever. It's the Fuking Death curve,
Absolutely, it's very much the other side of Dave Meltzer, just giving every good Joshi match 4 3/4 stars. We give everything a better mark because it has the added Fuking Death effect. Moving on then, main event, Cosmic Angels versus Neo Genesis. To the surprise of absolutely no one, this was absolutely fantastic. Really building Natsupoi and Starlight Kid, and really building Sayaka Kurora and Miyu Amasaki. I thought they did a fantastic job, and just even the last minute or so, that sprint between Poi and Kid, just that alone would have made it tremendous. But everyone looked really, really good in this. And that final counter into the cross arm breaker that Poi does to get the victory, oh, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And do you know what? Yeah, it is going to be a relatively easy story to tell at Ryogoku. Natsupoi targeting Starlight Kid's arm, Starlight Kid targeting Poi's leg. Which one's going to break first? And we've seen both women pick up victories with the other, obviously. I don't care. It's going to be amazing. It is going to be balls to the wall, speed, aggression. And do you know what? I am all here for it. I don't know who's going to win. Like, legitimately, when we do our preview a little bit later on, it's going to be on the sort of on air because I've got no idea currently who wins because both women are so good. And I think both women would represent that belt tremendously well.
What we do is when we get to our predictions, obviously, and remind me that Andy Header did send his predictions in. So I told him I'd leave them right on the air. So what we'll do is I'll give mine, Andy will give his, and then this way you can. For some reason, it always makes it even worse for you. But anywho, I guess I'm trying to soften the blow.
Always does.
Yeah, but I'm the same. I'm the same way. It's even the red belt match, and this literally can be. This might be the best. Again, remains to be seen. We'll find out in about 48 hours of this recording. This may be the best white belt and red belt match back to back, maybe in the history of Stardom. Like I mean, it's got the potential to. It really, really does, just because of the chemistry that obviously Kid and Poi have, and the chemistry that Tam and Kamatani have, and the way that these matches have been built. And the rest of the card looks, and again, we'll get into it in the next 4 to 5 hours. But the rest of the card looks insane. But you're absolutely right; they did a great job building around Kid and Natsupoi. We talk about it all the time, Rob. You just mentioned it. I want to see Sai, Eden, and Sherry. You just mentioned 2 or 3 minutes ago. I want to see May, Sarah, and Soriano because, wow, yes, their exchanges, they're always, again, these Stardom multi-person matches are all, there's no really such thing as like it's just a throwaway match. These Stardom multi-person matches, I mention it every week. I'm going to mention it probably every week from now until the end of time. Multi-tag matches are so hard to do. They are, in multi-tag matches I've been in where like wrestler 4 will mess something up and it messes up the rest of the match, and you're trying to figure a way to get it back on schedule, and you got to use the ref and the manager to try to convey spots. Stardom does these so well, especially when you have these super fast wrestlers like a Natsupoi, like a Soriano, like a Starlight Kid, like a Nozumi, like if somebody just off a half a step, it could mess something up, and they are so spot on. And this is one of the best 10-person tag matches I've ever seen, just because the degree of, we know it's going to be great. Stardom has just really spoiled us with these multi-person tag matches, and this is no exception. This was terrific because there were so many great outings. There were so many great double teams, triple teams, quadruple teams, and then Tam comes in for the save, and Aya and Sayaka, they look really, really good. And they do a great job building up Sayaka Kurora and Miyuama Saki going into their match in Korakuen Hall, which we'll review. Suzu Suzuki's an absolute beast. I mean, again, Suzu Suzuki and Soriano. Give me O2 line versus Meltier. Give me, not O2. I'll take O2 line versus Meltier. Give me Crazy Star versus Meltier. Give me Crazy Star versus Soripoi. Just great stuff back and forth. Really good, setting the tone of Natsupoi going after Starlight Kid's arm, Starlight Kid going after Natsupoi's knee. But it's not going to be just that. You're going to get the high-speed style. You're going to get the quick near falls. You're going to get Natsupoi hitting the Ferial Ring and Starlight Kid hitting the Black Tiger Pile Driver, because they sprinkled a lot of that in these matches over the upcoming weeks, where it's all going to go, like who's going to go where. Just really, really great stuff. Starlight Kid hits his beautiful moonsault onto Natsupoi for a 2 count with Tam with the breakup. And then you see Natsupoi come back. She hits the Ferial Magic, which is the La Maestra roll, which, if you remember how she beat Starlight Kid on night 1 of last year's 5-star Grand Prix. Eventually, though, Tam Nakano hits a super kick that leads to the Natsupoi armbar, and Starlight Kid taps out. So I like how they're still keeping Starlight Kid strong, even though she tapped out here. And a lot of times we would have thought, okay, if Natsupoi is going to get a win, maybe she defeats Miyu Amasaki. Or if Starlight Kid's going to get a win here, maybe she pins Aya, or she has Sayaka Kurora tap out. But I like how they had the number 1 contender tap out, but at the same time, it took Tam Nakano to, 1, break up the near fall, and 2, to hit the super kick to set up Natsupoi into the armbar. So again, even though Natsupoi does get the win here and does get over Starlight Kid, you can make mention, if Tam Nakano was not there to, 1, break up the fall, and 2, to set up the armbar, that maybe Starlight Kid would have got the win, and also shows that Tam Nakano is the leader of this faction by helping her teammate out. So really great stuff. Great story. There wasn't anything wasted. The timing was great. It didn't go too fast. It got the time that it needed, 18 minutes. But this might be my favorite match of all 5 of these shows.
Wow.
4.5 stars. This was breathtaking. And again, folks, I have one of the reasons why I rate a lot of these multi-tag matches at a high rate, because I've been in the 6-person, 8-person, 10-person matches. And no disrespect to anybody I've ever been in the ring with, they're nowhere near as talented as the Natsupois, the Mayseras, the Izumi. So the fact that, again, it's a degree of difficulty, it goes even higher with the more people in a match. And Stardom seems to be knocking out of the park, and they did here. And they told so many different stories. And the main thing is more intrigued into Natsupoi to Starlight Kid, to the point where me and Rob have no idea who's going to win that match other than the fans. Really. I mean, really, and there's no wrong answer. It's not like, no, Starlight Kid needs to win this because Natsupoi's run has been boring, or Natsupoi has to win because Starlight Kid won't make a good champion. It's like heads you wins, tails you wins. Both these wrestlers are going to represent the company, and more importantly, represent the rich history of the Wonder of Stardom champion coming out of this match, coming out of the match coming up on the 29th. But again, this match was perfection. 4.5 stars. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. One of the reasons why I love pro wrestling, good sir.
Yeah, it's something that they do better than damn near any other promotion. Dragon Gate are another one that do these sorts of style of match really, really well, and it's second nature to them now. So, you almost half expect them to be great, but again and again and again, Stardom seem to blow expectations out of the water, and this was a really good match. I did give it 4, which I was like, do I give it 4.25? I wasn't sure. I knew you'd love it because obviously you are a big tag team man, so I knew you'd love it. And again, the chemistry between all 10 women was really, really good, and everything was so seamless. Really, really good. Let's move on then to the different show. Stardom in Nagoya this time, 2024, 21st of December. The attendance for this show inside Nagoya International Conference Hall was 645 people. The lowest that they've pulled to the venue this year, they drew 994 to night 5 of the Cinderella tournament back in March, and they drew 665, just 20 people more in June as well. So it's nowhere near the lowest that they pulled to the venue. Looking back at 2020 and 2021, we had 200. Obviously, that was COVID restrictions, but during 2018, they drew 313, 515. So it's not a terrible number. It's just when you compare, especially to that 994 that saw the Cinderella tournament final, that is where it gets a bit lower, or looks a bit lower. Looking then at the results from this show, we started with a 3-way match. Sayaka Kurora defeating Motoi Hamabe and Fukigen Death, pinning Motoi with the Takamaki Spear in 8 minutes and 41 seconds. 8-woman tag match. Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Azumi Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori Saki, Kashima, Lady C, and Rani Yagami. Azumi pinning Lady C with a diving double foot stomp in 13 minutes and 2 seconds. Tag team match, the BMI 2000 team of Natsuko Tora and Ruaka defeated the EXV team of Micah and Rian. Ruaka pinning Rian with the neck hanging bomb in 11 minutes and 15 seconds. 6-woman tag, Stars team of Mai Iwatani, Hazuki, and Momokogo defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Natsupoi, Shioriano, and Yuna Mizumori. Momokogo pinning Yuna with the 619 DDT in 11 minutes and 8 seconds. International Women's Cup qualification 4-way match number 3. Tomoka Inaba defeated Koguma, Rina, and Waka Tsukiyama. Tomoka pinning Waka with the Inaba drop in 13 minutes and 39 seconds. Match 4, should I say. Final finalist confirmed. Suzu Suzuki defeated Aya Sakura, Hina, and Konami. Suzu pinning Hina with the Grand Maestro, the Tequila, in 15 minutes and 1 second. And then in your main event, Tekla suspension was waived, and Hanan Sayurida and Tam Nakano defeated the Hate team of Saya Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla, with Hanan pinning Tekla with 17 in 16 minutes and 20 seconds. Before we go into those Women's Cup qualification matches then, Matt, is there anything you want to talk about from the opening 4 matches of this card?
The first three matches were solid. Again, it's Stardom, but really, match number four. If you haven't seen the show, you're pressed for time with Mayu, Hazuki, and Momo Kogo taking on Saripoi, Soriano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori. That was a really, really solid match. I mean, look at the talent you have in there. Mayu, Hazuki, who's on absolute fire and has been for quite a while. Soriano and Natsupoi, who, your last two Wonder of Stardom champions and are MVPs in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And Yuna Mizumori's kicking ass as well. What was great about this match, you have all that talent I just mentioned. This is all about building up one Momo Kogo, and they did a great job. And Momo Kogo is ready. She's clear, and we'll get into we talk about that Korakuen Hall. She's ready for that next step, for that upper tier mid card match, or where you can put her in a main event of a Korakuen Hall, whether it's a tag match or a singles. I mean, and they've done a great job building her up in this match. I thought it was terrific stuff. A great outing, 11 minutes, perfect time to tell the stories. With a great job putting all of the spotlight on Momo Kogo. I had it at 4 stars. Really terrific stuff, and it's really great to see Momo Kogo shining as bright as she is at the end of this phenomenal year that Stardom is having.
Yeah, and again, we talk about it all the time, but it clearly means so much to her as well. You can see from the emotion in her face whenever she picks up a victory, or the emotion in her face when she's selling and things like this. You can tell that this means a tremendous amount, and she doesn't take any of it for granted. And there's something about that makes her so relatable to the fans. I mean, you heard the reaction when she picked up that victory. That victory, by the way, meant nothing in the tag league. Peach Rock were already eliminated, but the groundswell of support for her, and obviously picking up these victories, she was hugely over in Korakuen Hall. May Sarah then put her over even more in Korakuen Hall after the match by saying she wanted to wrestle her again. Look how far you've come. So it's really good to see her pick up these victories, because it does feel like, yes, she's probably never going to be a red belt champion. She's probably never going to be a white belt champion. But, Stardom need those solid hands in the mid card, on the lower mid card even. And I think Momo Kogo is an absolutely brilliant person to have on the roster for that point, for that role. And I think as well, she's a perfect example of someone who demonstrates just how important it is for reps. She's had now an extended period of time in the ring without illness, without a break, and you can see her improvement. You can see, the seamlessness. I mean, she does the 619 so much better than Mayu does. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, Momo does it significantly better than Mayu does. But obviously she suffers with Graves' disease, which is horrendous. And, that can be debilitating, as we know. But the fact that she's had this uninterrupted run in the ring, you can see her reaping the benefits. And I'm glad she got the highlight at Korakuen Hall. And yeah, to get the victory here was great. And Tomoka Inaba then. Also, I am just going to point it out. You talk about predictions. Me and you called this exact 4-way for the final.
And the winner, too. I think we both, wow. Yeah, so we got 5 right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So with the momentum going on to the Tokyo Dome, we have a 25% shot of getting it right, or we split it in half. We have a 50% shot. But
exactly,
yeah, because we were like, put the best wrestlers in there. But I thought there might have been a possibility that Koguma got in there because of
that was the one.
That was the one. But we were all like, if you want your best 4-way, no disrespect to the other wrestlers in there, Tomoka, Suzu, Shuri, and Momo. And obviously we'll get into it when we talk about the show. The next day, it was like, what you're going to get. You're not getting any high-flying. You don't really know 450s. It's going to be hard-hitting, right up in your face, great wrestling action, which we'll get into because it was a great match. But this was a really fun one as well. And a really great spotlight for Rina, I noticed in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same could be said, actually, about the next match in Hina, which is great because, again, something I'm going to talk about is the high-speed division when we talk about May Sarah and Momo Kogo, is who's next, because we didn't have a challenger come out and challenge May Sarah. It's sort of up in the air. And, we've talked about it ad nauseum about how Natsupoi's gone from that division, Azumi's gone from that division. It seems that Starlight Kid has gone from that division. Koguma hasn't been present really in that division at all, which means that we are running short of competitors. And is Rina someone that they are priming to go into that division, someone that can go up against, a May Sarah in the future and potentially even win. I thought she was great here. Thought she was really, really good. Her and Tomoka Inaba were fantastic. But obviously, Tomoka Inaba getting the victory was really, really... Again, it highlights just how much Stardom think of Tomoka Inaba in the fact that she isn't even wrestling for Stardom full time, and she is making her way into the final of this sort of qualification tournament. I think that really does speak volumes about Stardom's opinion of her. Match itself was great. A little bit sad that Waka had to eat the fall, but someone's got to eat the fall, haven't they? And then Suzu Suzuki joined her, which again, Suzu, I wasn't sure. I did think that Momo Watanabe would be the one that wins, spoiler. But I thought, especially after the way Suzu wrestled Great-O-Khan, I did, and the fact that she got herself over as well, I did wonder if maybe Stardom will be tempted to put Suzu Suzuki in there. But no, they did go with Momo. Suzu here, though, gave a really good carve herself. Aya Sakura gave a really good carve herself as well, as she has done for the past 6 months. But yeah, another really good match.
Yeah, getting these two back to back as we're kind of now we know what that full way is going to look like the very next day. And again, great job on Stardom. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what's the main theme? There's not the main theme in these three shows are the qualification for who's going to go to Tokyo Dome, and then we're also still building, selling tickets, selling pay-per-views, selling subscriptions to Stardom World, and getting more people on YouTube, because the Korakuen show did, I think it's up to almost 250,000 views or something like that as of this recording, which is insane because it was free on YouTube, which again, another smart PR move. But again, a lot of great stuff sprinkled into these shows. But the main thing is this qualification cup, and you have these two great matches back to back. Again, great. Waka looked terrific. Koguma, very much like Saki Kashima, very much like Fuki and Depp. There's a couple times I'm like, oh, it's going to be a quick fall that gets this done, because you have everybody trying to break up a fall. But ultimately, it was Inaba hitting the Inaba drop, her version of the Michinoku driver, to Waka that got the win. I had that 3 3/4 stars. As much as I like that match, I like this one, the second one, a little bit better. Really great stuff with Aya Sakura and Konami. Really great, interesting trade-off there. Hina, you made mention, she looked terrific, and she looked great in all these shows. She really, really did. And obviously, when it comes to these three daughters of Stardom, not the original three daughters of Stardom, Io, Mayu, and Kairi, we talk about Hanan, Hina, and Arena. Obviously, Hanan's the big star. She's going to win everything that there is to win once she, in the next handful of years. Rena's not that far behind. That New Blood match, especially that closing stretch, she was fantastic, and it's prime ready for her once she's graduated from school, and she's going to be on the road full time. That she's going to be somebody that Stardom is going to tap on the shoulder to really, really push up the ladder. And we saw with Hanan. Hanan, future Stardom champion, was on the lower card, and then once she was in Stardom full time, look at everything she's done. Cinderella winner, almost won the white belt with that great match with Soriano, and then her and Saida obviously win the Goddess tournament. Rahina's not that far behind. Rena's not that far behind, and then Hina isn't that far behind. I thought Hina was terrific here. Konami, again, excellent stuff. Suzu just battering, doing what she does best, seek and destroy, to quote Metallica, really just seek and destroy. But ultimately, she is able to put Hina away with the tequila roll. I had this one at 4 stars. I thought this was terrific. And now we know at the end of this match, our 4-way is set up for the very next day. Momo Watanabe, Shuri, Tomoka Inaba, and Suzu Suzuki, probably your 4 hardest hitters on this roster, all in one match, vying for a spot for the Tokyo Dome. What a great way to sell last-minute tickets, Rob, for the show on the 21st.
And then, of course, we had the main event, which was 6-woman tag. Tam Nakano teaming with Wingori to take on Hate, Sai Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla. And the big thing for me, and this is something that I really love, Stardom teaming up against Hate. And we saw it at the end. Yes, Hanan got the victory over Tekla, which we sort of assumed was going to happen, building some heat behind the challengers ready for Dream Queendom. But then the beatdown continues because it's Hate. Haters got to hate, haven't they? Haters got to hate. And Micah and Shuri came down to the ring in order to support Tam, Saya, and Hanan. And at the end, that visual of all 5 women putting their fists in the ring, sort of vying to dispel Hate. Exactly. There you go.
Got you, bro. Got you, bro. There it is. What a team.
Seamless,
That's
seamless.
right. Number one in Denmark. What's up?
Yeah, sort of, vowing to vanquish hate, I think, is a really powerful visual, and it's something that is an issue when you have got a heel faction. Is, well, why don't more faces bandy together against them? And it just makes more storyline sense. They've all got a common enemy. They've got no issue with each other currently. So why not gang up and sort of, do this together? And I think that was a really powerful visual to close this show on, to show, people standing up to hate. We saw it with Stars when they came down to the ring to stop hate attacking Natsupoi. So it's good to see that we are having some logic in this booking.
It reminded me a lot of the NWO in WCW in like 96, 97, 98, where the NWO just ran roughshod and they just kept growing and growing and growing. You're like, why is, now obviously you had your baby faces with Sting and Luger and DDP, but then you had your other heel factions, the Four Horsemen and the Dungeon of Doom. It was like, how come they're not teaming up? It's like, well, they kind of have egos involved, right? Like Ric Flair doesn't want to team with Kevin Sullivan. Luger, because he'd been kicked out of the Horsemen before, and Sting, they don't want it. But it got to a point where it's like, if we don't band together, there's strength in numbers. If we don't band together, the NWO is going to take over everything. And that's what it's kind of like here. It kind of was like here, where again, you get that big beatdown afterwards, and then you have Micah and Shuri come in, again, banding all the baby faces together. And again, if you're part of this team, if you're Tam, Hanan, and Saeed, you get the big win, yay, and then you get the beatdown. Is there any other two wrestlers in the locker room that you want to come to your aid than Shuri and Micah? One, probably
Barreling
not.
down the ramp,
Yeah.
no.
And two, what does it set up? Does Shuri have a match coming up with a member of Hate? Oh, yeah, Konami. Why was Micah there? Does she have a match with a member of Hate? Yes, Natsuka Tora. KISS, KISS. And I don't mean the band. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's what this was here. You had a great match. You divided Momo and Tekla versus Wingori. Obviously, you had some of your single stuff, and you intertwined Kamatani and Hanan, and that was all great. But ultimately, it was the tag team champions, Hate Supreme versus Wingori and Tam and Saya Kamatani. I'm going to mention this now because I'm going to forget it. We've seen a couple times on these shows that we're reviewing Saya going for the top rope Hurricanrana on the Tam to the floor. And they did do it in their match at World Climax Night 2. And it got blocked twice. It got blocked twice. I have a feeling we are going to see that again, because these Saya Kamatani versus Tam matches are absolutely, part of my language, balls to the wall, batshit crazy. And it's the biggest match these two are ever going to have against each other, probably in front of like 4,000 people, in front of a jam-packed sumo hall. I have a feeling we're going to, because we got teased on this show, and it got teased, I think, in the Korakuen. Yeah, because the Korakuen, they teased it again. I have a feeling we're going to see that Hurricanrana to the floor. Now, if you remember 2 years ago from World Climax, nobody caught Tam. Like, Tam just went. Nobody was there. She literally hit the floor of Korakuen Hall, the same venue. So I got a feeling we're going to see that there, because the exchanges between all six of these ladies, especially Tam and Kamatani towards the end, were absolutely brilliant. I had this match at 4 stars. Terrific match. Great way to end this show with a terrific match. And I liked how when Hanan pinned Tekla, I was like, ooh, was that the right move to bring Tekla back only to pin her? They got the heat back. Very much like we're going to talk about in Korakuen Hall. Like, was that the right move? The heat came back instant. And now you have that beatdown, because as a fan, you're like, yes, the good guy won. Hanan won. This is what she wanted. My hero won, only for the beatdown to happen. And you're like, oh, come on. Come on. We want to end the show. We want to send the fans home happy. We did for a second. Now this is the usual hate stuff. They're going to get the numbers advantage. Who comes out for the save? Shuri. She's got beef with Konami. Who comes out for the save? Micah. She's got beef with Natsuka Tora. Really great stuff. And then, yes, we have all the big baby faces put their fist in, because it's really almost these 5 versus 5 of hate on the top of your card coming up in Sumo Hall. It really, really is. So, yeah, excellent stuff. Great way to end the show. 4 stars for me, with a really, really great post-match angle. Terrific stuff.
Yeah, because the whole premise of Tekla, especially, is that she doesn't really care. She's not, she's not in it for wins and losses. She wants to destroy idols, and if that means taking some losses so that she can beat the Jimmy out of them after the match. I don't think Tekla cares. And I do wonder if that's going to become a little bit of an issue between her and the remainder of Hate. The fact that she's willing to, get herself counted out if it means beating people up and stuff like that. So I do wonder if that's somewhere that they might be going. Moving on then to show 3 in Hachioji on Sunday, the 22nd of December. We had an attendance of, I've misplaced my nose. There we go. We had an attendance of 489 people inside Tokyo Tamamirai Mess. It's the second time Stardom have run the venue, slightly less than their previous attempt, which was 512 people. But again, still a healthy attendance. Unfortunately, Azumi is absent from this show as it was due to poor health. However, she was still being advertised for the show at Korakuen Hall on Christmas Eve, and she was on that show. So hopefully everything is okay for Azumi. Looking at the results then, we had a singles match, Yuna Mizumori defeating Grian with the Tropicana in 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Watsukiyama defeated Aya Sakura with a necklock in 9 minutes and 11 seconds. That was initially supposed to be a 3-way with Waka, Aya Sakura, and Azumi. Obviously, with Azumi withdrawn from the card, that was a singles match instead. 6-woman tag stars Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma defeating the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Hina, and Ronnie Yagami. Hazuki pinning Hina with, and I don't know if this has always been the case, I'm 99% sure it hasn't, but the diving senton that Hazuki does from the top rope is called the meteorite. Did not know that.
I thought she called the bombs away, or was that the frog splash she used to do?
No, bombs away is basically the one where she does the diving sit.
Oh, the doink the doink the clown finish.
The whoopee cushion. Yes.
What was? Sorry, buddy. What was the time on this one? I'm thinking about doink.
This was 13 minutes and 25 seconds. But yes, the meteorite is apparently what Hazuki is calling that diving senton. So there you go. The more you know. 6-woman tag, the Hate team of Tekla, Konami, and Rina defeated Motoi Hamabe, Hanan, and Sayurida. Tekla getting her win back over Hanan with the Toxic Spider Death Drop in 11 minutes exactly. 6-woman tag team match, Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Mei Seira, and Miwa Masaki defeated the team of Momo Koga, Natsupoi, and Sayaka Kurora. Mei Seira pinning Momo with a modified powerbomb that she apparently, and get this, Matt, again, look how much we're learning from this show. This is called Goodbye, in brackets, Peace. And the Stardom website actually has the emoji for peace as well, which makes it even better. So, yeah, apparently that modified powerbomb is called Goodbye, Peace.
Buddy, we are ready to go for Dream Queen, and we were loaded with all this knowledge and energy. And the fact that we're off work and we're somewhat rested, we're ready to go, buddy. I just have the Hammerlock Liger Bomb because, again, that's the technical name for it.
No, it's called Goodbye, Peace.
And you can do that one hand motion. It's
exactly. Goodbye, peace. There you go. See, the more we know.
What was the time on this one?
16 minutes and 49 seconds. Semi-main event, 6-woman tag. Maika, Tam Nakano, and Sioriano defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamatani, and Ruaka. Maika pinning Ruaka with the Michinoku driver number 2 in 14 minutes and 18 seconds. And then in your main event, the International Women's Cup qualification final 4-way match, Momo Watanabe defeated Shiori Suzu Suzuki and Tomoka Inaba to book her place in the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Dynasty January 5th, pinning Suzu Suzuki with the Tequila Sunrise in 9 minutes and 41 seconds. That match, the finalized 4-way, is Athena versus Persephone versus Willow Nightingale versus Momo Watanabe. So a really good match there. I don't know a great deal about Persephone. And when I say I don't know a great deal, I don't know anything about Persephone. But Athena and Willow Nightingale and Momo all kick ass. I imagine this is going to be great, Matt.
Handsome. I have Momo pinning Tomoka. Was that right? Because you said Suzu. Am I right here? Are you right?
You might be right. You might be right. I might just highlighted the wrong one.
Okay, or it could have been Sherry. We all could be wrong. But
Fuki can death. Who knows?
No, she wouldn't have got pinned in this one, buddy. But I want to see Fuki Death and Doink the Clown, by the way, now that we're on that stretch. I forget who owns the rights to that gimmick. But no, yeah, the four-way coming up now. It's going to be, I've seen a little bit of Persephone. Obviously, Lucha is not my expertise. That's the one style of wrestling that I kind of just don't get. And there's nothing wrong. If you like Lucha, great. That's just like the one, that deathmatch wrestling I kind of just don't completely understand. Not my cup of tea, if you will. But the little I've seen of her, she's terrific. Obviously, we know Willow Nightingale. She's great. Momo Watanabe, that's our girl. And Athena's great. But man, I don't know which way they're going to go on this one. I really don't. It could be Willow Nightingale, but I think it's going to be Athena. I really, really do. I know the winner gets a title shot pretty much at whatever title they want, but I don't know if it's like one of these Money in the Bank things where they can come and cash in like at any time, because I don't want that. I wouldn't want like Natsupoi to have a great match with Hazuki, say at like the anniversary show, and then like Athena comes in and like cashes in. Like I don't want the Stardom belts to change like that. That's like American wrestling gimmicky. I don't know if they made that official yet. I just know the winner of this gets a title shot whenever they want. And again, much as we want to see, Momo Watanabe is a great shout. Willow Nightingale is a great shout. But I think the dream matches we would see with Athena, whether that goes for AEW or Stardom getting the win here, I mean, the possibility really are endless, because it's like she's already been Ring of Honor champion. She's not like, what belt is she going to go for? The Ring of Honor TV championship? Is she going to challenge Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Championship? I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, I think it's going to be the Mercedes or one of the winners, whoever walks out of these big shows as champion, whether it's Azumi, Mayu, whether it's Kid, Poi, or whether it's Tam and Saya Kamatani. I think that would be the best way to go. But who's your early money on, my man? I have it. Since we got the 4-4-ways right and the 5-4-ways all predicted right, I'm going in with Athena. I don't think it's going to change between now and the 5th. But are you going to double down with me, my man, and go with Athena? Or are you going to go with somebody different?
I think it's between Athena and Momo, personally. I'm going to go Athena, simply because you talked me into it earlier on the show with that Athena
salesman.
Exactly. It's almost like it's your job. Athena versus Mayu Iwatani. It was sort of like, IWGP Women's Championship match. I'd be very excited for that. Obviously, Athena for the World of Stardom Championship. I'd be very, very into that. Momo Watanabe does not need a championship opportunity to challenge someone in Stardom. Do I think Momo will go over to AEW potentially? Yeah, maybe. But again, I don't feel like she needs to have a title opportunity to do. I don't know. I'm spitballing. I think it's definitely going to be Athena or Momo. But I am sort of plumping with Athena. But aside from this match, which we'll talk about in a moment, Matt, what are your thoughts on the rest of this card?
The card was really good. I just want to talk about match 3, especially one spot, because we saw it a couple times. And considering the fact they're on the same team for these next 2 big Stardom shows, obviously when you talk about tag teams and stars, it's FWC, it's Wingori, it's Peach Rock. Mayu and Hazuki have great chemistry together, especially that pump kick into the Dodonpai. Oh my goodness. We saw it on this match, and we saw it, I think it was in Korakuen. And again, got the 8-person tag coming up on the 29th. They're in the same tag team, and the 6-person coming up on the 3rd of January. As a wrestler, I don't know what I'm more scared to take, the big kick from Hazuki, but as soon as it's over, you're getting dropped on your head. So it's not like you have time where it's like, there's sometimes that like in a tag match, I'll take like a big pile driver or tombstone, and then the other person would do like a 450. So it's like, you have to brace yourself. Is my neck going to be okay? And I have to make sure I'm not going to get my arms or ribs broken. So it's like, you hit the one thing, okay, I'm fine. I got 2 seconds to breathe. And now here comes the big move off the top rope. It's like you're getting all at once. Like here comes the Hazuki kick, and by the time it's over, you're getting dropped on your head from Mayu. So really cool visual from 2 wrestlers that seem just absolutely flawless. Solid match, 3 3/4 stars. But for me, it's just the 2 of them doing it together. And again, we saw it again, I think in Korakuen. It's so flawless, and I think that so there's going to be one member of Neo Genesis that's going to take it, maybe not once, but twice, coming up over here in the next week. And that's how we may know who in Neo Genesis was on Santa's naughty list, because it's one thing to get cold. True. It's another thing to eat a Hazuki pump kick into Mayu's Dodonpai. But really, really solid stuff. But match number 5 for me was probably the best match, not including the main event, with Natsupoi, Momo Kogo, Sayaka Kurora versus Starlight Kid, May Sarah, Miyu Amasaki. Again, more interplays with the factions. But again, there's a reason for it because you're building up to your championship matches. So I thought it was very interesting. And then we've seen Teru Okada is not afraid to kind of break off the factions a little bit to put some certain wrestlers into some certain things if it makes sense, building up for future matches, which that's what this match did. Again, you have your Neo Genesis team. They're the ones that are, your more established faction. But again, Natsupoi, obviously she's terrific. Her stuff with Starlight Kid was great. But again, this was all about building Momo Kogo up. Really, really, Momo Kogo looked really terrific here. But ultimately, though, it was May Sarah getting the big win. They had a great closing stretch because now you're like, I wonder what that match is going to look like full. Obviously, we got in Korakuen Hall just a few days later, but it was a really great tag match. Again, we sprinkled a little bit of Natsupoi and Starlight Kid, but the main focus wasn't Starlight Kid and Natsupoi because we got that before. Obviously, we're going to get it on the 29th. We already did a great job building that matchup, and Korakuen Hall is built around those two championship matches, which we'll get into. But the focus was on May Sarah and Momo Kogo. Really great stuff back and forth. Where I thought Momo Kogo was going to pull it out, but ultimately it was the goodbye, peace, power bomb from our high-speed champion that got it done. I had 4.25 stars. I thought this was terrific. And again, just Momo Kogo, very much like in the first show we reviewed, she was the star, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. They're doing a great job putting a lot of shine on Momo Kogo, even in matches that have bigger stars than her on it.
Moving on then to that main event, because I know you want to talk about it, man. That final four-way, Momo, Shiori, Suzu, and Tomoka Inaba. All four women incredibly hard strikers. And we got to see a little bit of that during this match, which is always very tasty. And I'm never going to say no to Momo Watanabe and Shiori exchanges because they are just the best. And I feel like they're something that is very special in Stardom, whether that is because it reminds me of that tremendous 5-star Grand Prix final from 2021, or whether it's simply because no one matches them in terms of brutality. Well, brutality of strikes, should I say. Suzu is a literal deathmatch wrestler, but you know what I mean in terms of actual stiffness of strikes. This was great. It was thoroughly enjoyable. It was balls to the wall. It was breathless. Didn't need to overstay its welcome. 9 minutes and 41 seconds. I perhaps would have liked it to go a little bit longer. But other than that, I thought it was explosive, and that's exactly what it needed to be. Really got me excited for that four-way at Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah, my only negative about this match, and maybe this entire podcast that we were doing, wish this would have went a little bit longer. Less than 10 minutes. It was great. Again, 4.25 stars. I really think it could have hit that 4.5 to 4 3/4 if it got a little bit of time. But I get it. I understand. It was as soon as the bell rang, everybody's going for a quick cover, and then we knew eventually it's going to break down. We get the hard hitting. We get with Momo and Sherry. Obviously, Tomoka Inaba, she's great. We get a great closing stretch with Momo and Tomoka really firing each other back and forth. Great suplex exchanges with Suzu and Shuri. And you talked about how when you see Shuri and Momo, you're immediately gone back to what many people think is the greatest 5-star match of all time back in 2021. And you do get those flashbacks. I got those flashbacks with Shuri and Suzu Suzuki from night one of the 2023 5-star Grand Prix, which is definitely my top 10 favorite 5-star matches of all time. Obviously, Tomoka Inaba, what a great 5-star she had. And, she was in the same bracket with Momo Watanabe. Those two had a great match, and they do a great job building up their finish there. Great stuff with Momo and Suzu. Everybody had their time to shine. Everybody had time to work each other. It wasn't like you two are going to pair off, you two are going to pair off, and then we're going to take it home. Everybody had time to shine to be like, ooh, I want to see 14 minutes of that. Ooh, I want to see 15 minutes of that. Really, really great stuff. Sherry and Suzu almost take each other out, and you get this blitzing finish with Momo and Tomoka, where Momo's able to withstand Tomoka's onslaught of punishment and eventually put away with the punk kick and the tequila sunrise. 4.25 stars for me, my friend. We knew what this was going to be. Other than like in the beginning, they're doing quick falls. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then it breaks down to exactly what you're getting with these four. And we get it. We get it in spades. And it's just wrestling at its absolute finest. Again, 4.25 stars with Momo Watanabe. Our beloved Momo Watanabe getting the win, going to the Tokyo Dome. I'm so happy for her. I'm so happy for her because it always seems, ever since that lot at Wonder of Stardom Championship run back in 2018 and 2019, something like start and stop with Momo. It really has. But every time she's tapped on the shoulder to give great matches, she gives phenomenal matches. So it's excited to see what she's going to, even regardless if she doesn't get the win there, she's going to wrestle in front of probably the most amount of people she's ever wrestled in front of, in one of the biggest venues, in the most, historic venues in all of wrestling, the Tokyo Dome. So I'm really, really happy for her. and that she gets the win here. So, and this to me is probably your big main event push, as we did on our prediction show a few weeks ago. This is a great way to start off Momo's 2015 by having her wrestle in the Tokyo Dome. But ultimately, all 4 of these matches were great. All 5 of these matches were great, with I think the right winner going through to Wrestle Dynasty.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So we move on then to, oh my God, Matt, the second to last show we're going to be doing. Admittedly, it's the longest one, but that's by the by. We are looking at the year-end Christmas night 2024 from Christmas Eve and the lauded Korakuen Hall. Speaking of Korakuen Hall, the announced attendance for the show was 1,009 people, which makes it the 4th show in a row at the venue that has surpassed 1,000 spectators. And it's also the 7th in the last 8 to reach that figure. So really, really good numbers for Stardom. I mean, it's a nominal decrease of 17 people from the last show. I mean, I think it's 1.6% or something daft.
In the mud. Sell the company. Sell the company. Absolutely. Fire sale.
Imagine. The last time, of course, being 1,026 back on the 11th of November. Now, it does mean that of the 18 shows that Stardom have run in Korakuen Hall this year, the joint most that they've ever run at Korakuen in a single calendar year, the total attendance is 18,395, which is an average of 1,220, making it Stardom's highest total attendance at Korakuen since the company's inception in 2011. So really good stuff. Not the highest attendance average, which I think there's quite a few down there. There's, I think 2015 beats it, and obviously 2023 beats it as well. However, still a really, really, really good number for Stardom. Talking about the show then, it is worth noting that just prior to the show, it was announced that we will be having a public sparring session between 2 new rookies, Akira and Uria. So their public sort of sparring session was the pre-show match that obviously went to a 5-minute time limit draw with Micah as your special guest referee, and she seems to be having the absolute time of her life. We then had the high-speed championship match, Mei Seira defending successfully against Momo Kogo with the checkmate in 8 minutes and 35 seconds. 6-woman tag, the hate team of Fukigen Death, Rina and Azusa Inaba defeated the EXV team of Hanako, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rian. Azusa Inaba pinning Rian with Azusa Inaba's sister Super in 8 minutes and 59 seconds. 3-way match, Saki Kashima defeated Motoi Hamabe and Koguma. Saki stealing Koguma's cover of Motoi Hamabe in 10 minutes and 3 seconds, like the Krampus that she is. 3-way 9-woman tag team match, the Cosmic Angels team of Saori Ano, Yuna Mizumori, and Ai Sakura defeated the team of Azumi, Kohaku, and Suzu Suzuki, and the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Rani Yagami, and Nanami. Saori Ano pinning Tomoka Inaba with the pottering in 9 minutes and 41 seconds, potentially setting something up between those two. Tag team match, the Stars team of Santa Mayu and Reindeer Hazuki defeated the God's Eye team of Hina and Lady C. Mayu pinning Hina with a moonsault in 14 minutes and 22 seconds. In your semi-main event, no, it isn't. I apologize. Missed a match. 10-woman tag team match. Tsuyori Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Hanan, and Saya Ida versus Hate, Natsukatora, Konami, Tekla, Ruaka, and Momo Watanabe ended in a double countout in 14 minutes and 43 seconds. Future of Stardom championship match in your semi-main. Miyu Amasaki, the champion, defeating Sayaka Kurora in 12 minutes and 3 seconds, pinning her with the Tenzai. And then in your main event, the tag team main event, Meltia, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi defeating Saya Kamatani and Starlight Kid, Tam Nakano pinning Saya Kamatani with the Andromeda in 25 minutes and 33 seconds. Matt, first things first, before we talk about anything at all, what was your opinion of the 2 rookies who I think impressed quite a few people?
Yeah, and it's interesting that Micah was the referee, because if you remember when Matoya had her little public tryout with Milano Collection AT, it was Shuri that was the referee, and where does
Mm.
Matoy want to go? So I wonder if we're trying to get more members into God's Eye. The one thing with this is you have two rookies wrestling each other, and I make mention this all the time. I get why you're doing it, but you're not going to learn much. You know what I mean? Obviously, Milano Collection AT is a retired wrestler, former wrestler, but I mean, he's still really, really good, and he's somebody that is very knowledgeable. He's been in pro wrestling, some over 20 years. So you have these two rookies wrestling each other. They go in. It's a time limit draw. So you're not going to see much. Again, I'm all about these younger wrestlers either teaming with or across the ring against either a big mid carder or a main eventer, because that's the only way you're going to get better. However, there's a lot of aggression here between these two, especially afterwards, where Micah kind of has to separate them. So you're like, ooh, there's something there. There's really something there that's going to add more fuel to the fire. And again, something very interesting for Stardom going into 2025 is this young crop of rookies. I mean, you look at Rian. She's terrific. Matoy, we talk about her all the time. She's only, had 14, 15 matches. And now we have these two new rookies showing up. It's going to be really interesting to see where they go and what they do and how far they improve when we come to the summer months of 2025. But that was really interesting. And again, the fact that you have Micah there, not only as maybe a little scout for EXV, but even if I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, a little inside baseball, probably when they were done, Micah, who again is one of the top wrestlers, not just in Stardom, but in all the wrestling, she's right there firsthand in the action with them, can kind of pull them after, when the match is over. Here's what you did right. Here's what you did wrong. Maybe try this next time. Instead of doing this, maybe plant your foot this way. Like the little things that can help them out. Micah was right there. And I think that was really, really smart. They did it with Shuri and Matoy, and they did it here with Mike. Again, you're having your main eventers in the actual ring with them and kind of help them, coach them along. Only going to get better. But interesting stuff. And I like how they're using Korakuen Hall as the place to kind of, showcase these rookies in their pre-match debut.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, this came sort of out of nowhere. So we've got another set of two rookies to add to this already bursting roster, which of course is great because it means that we are, Stardom and different Joshi promotions are touching different people when they're going through towns. People are being inspired by what they're seeing, which is always really, really good. We'll move on then to the High Speed Championship.
Real quick, Rob. Real quick. I'm sorry, I just want to say the fact they did over 1,000 people and the date and the time of the show. Folks, I love me some wrestling. I love me some Stardom. Even if I live next door to Korakuen Hall with a free ticket, I would have not have been on this show. I would have not have been to this show. This show, and I didn't realize until the day before, was 6:30 on Christmas Eve. I was like, ooh, that's tough because you have, and I'm not throwing my religion out there, but church, I have family time, family dinner. Christmas Eve is a very, very busy day. Christmas night, no problem, because you'd see NWA back in the day always drew a lot on Christmas night because after the presents are open, what's there to do? 26, not a bit. Christmas Eve night is tough to draw. In fact, I had over 1,000 people there, buddy. I just want to make mention because when I saw this, I was like, oh, I don't even know if they're going to break 800. And nothing to do with the talent and the fact that we got a phenomenal tag match as the main event. That's a tough slot to draw. But the fact that 1,000 people came here, my man, on that day and time, it's a credit to them. I just want to throw that out there. That's an insane number considering the fact that, again, 6:30 Christmas Eve. It's super impressive. But continue, my man, because what a great opening match we got here, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth noting that obviously Christmas isn't as big in Japan as it is in Western countries such as the UK or US. As far as I'm aware, actually, I don't even think it's a bank holiday. I think it's a normal working day in Japan, which is wild. But obviously, Christianity is not the number one religion in Japan, so obviously it makes perfect sense. But even so, there are those that celebrate Christmas. So yeah, it's still a good achievement, definitely. And then again, to get 7 out of 8 shows, 7 of your 8 last shows at Korakuen Hall over the year, it's over 1,000 is a tremendous achievement. So 27th High Speed Champion May Sarah defending the belt for the 3rd time against Momokogo. Momokogo, by the way, her 3rd attempt at the High Speed Championship. Heavy metal Momokogo. I think she did another tremendous job. But May Sarah, we need to talk about because, again, 3, I don't want to say unconventional, that's not fair, but 3 people we wouldn't ordinarily immediately throw into the high-speed scene. Yuna Mizumori, Xena, and Momokogo. And she has done tremendous work with them. And, we saw Yuna Mizumori easily have her best singles match, surprise everyone. And, huge credit goes to Yuna, but obviously huge credit also goes to Mei Seira. Xena, again, tremendous job done in a style that she's not overly familiar with. And here, I think Mei Seira sold her ass off for Momo Kogo. There was some of those near falls were like the Momon Pa, for example, that near fall, absolutely incredible. I mean, Mei Seira needs to just check herself. Why on earth is she doing flat back bumps off the apron with a drop kick with no knee pads? Like, that's the thing. She's doing all these landings on her knees. She's not wearing knee pads. The poor girl's knees are going to be made of dust. But the stuff that she was willing to do to get Momo Kogo even more over in the match is really a credit. She's such an unselfish wrestler. She's got some of the greatest facials in Stardom, and that's from selling to surprise to general, like, just not over the top comedy, just like actual brilliant comic timing. There's a point in this match where she gets a bell rung, can't remember what it is, and she goes, and it's hilarious. The eyes that she does is absolutely hilarious. She is a very, very, very good wrestler, but she is fantastic at getting her opponents over, and she deserves a tremendous amount of credit for that. Momo Kogo does really well. Really, really, really well, to the point where, again, as we talked about earlier with Full Kick and Death, there was a real sense that, oh my God, are they actually going to do this? They're actually going to put the belt on Momo. I think the right person won. I think we said in our preview that we expected Momo Kogo to put up a good fight but lose. I think she surpassed expectations, and I think Mei Seira did a tremendous job in sort of not necessarily dictating the match. I don't want to say that takes away from Momo Kogo, but certainly in selling for Momo Kogo and making her look like a legitimate threat.
Yeah, he talked about Mei Seira and her comedic timing, or underrated comedic timing. We saw it firsthand with line cutter Mariah May. We
Absolutely.
did. Yes, that line cutter. We should have known she was going to turn heel 6 months prior, buddy. We were right there. How did we not
The
see
clues
that
were
coming?
there. The clues were there.
We just didn't see it come. Anywho, yeah, you're right. Momo Kogo, I mean, again, they did a great job building her up these past 2 months for this championship. They did a great job building this matchup. This is Momo Kogo's best performance because she's not in there with Mayu. She doesn't have anybody else, just her one-on-one. That's how it's one thing to be a great tag wrestler when you can have somebody to kind of lean on to put certain things together. Obviously, Mei Seira, very much like she did in the Xena match and very much like she did in the Yuna match, helps get these wrestlers over, even in a loss. Obviously, the Xena went to the time limit draw, but that Yuna match put Yuna on a different level. This Momo Kogo match put Momo Kogo on a different level. Again, you're in Korakuen Hall, a very vocal crowd, and we've seen it not just in Stardom, but we've seen it obviously in Marigold. I mean, look at Naoi Ishikawa. Like, she is a made star in Korakuen Hall. Chikagoto, Kokiyamare, like, that's like the proving ground of Korakuen Hall.
That chant for Rhea Sato as well. Don't forget that. Really, really vocal support for Rhea Sato in that match with Utami.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But Mei Seira here makes sure that she makes Momo Kogo look at, and Momo Kogo doesn't need too much help to look fantastic.
No, of course.
Mei Seira does her job. Again, she's the champion. She's the one leading this match. She's the one, if you're going to get the most out of this title defense, needs to make sure the near falls are really, really close. I mean, she's taking these bumps. You mentioned the Manami Toyota back, that bump that she takes off the apron onto the cold, hard floor of Korakuen Hall. And again, folks, those mats there, they really don't take a lot of staying out of those bumps. Let me tell you from experience. But I mean, she does a great job, this great back and forth. And then as they're building towards the finish, you're absolutely right. I thought Mei Seira was going to win, but at the same time, the way Momo Kogo was built up, maybe they pulled the trigger on Momo Kogo because it's the hottest she's ever been. And sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. Sometimes they may have gotten to the building that day and would have been very much like, you know what? Something's in the air. Let's put the belt on Momo Kogo. And if she would have got the 3 count off the Momon Pie or any of these roll-ups, I think the crowd would have absolutely exploded. I think especially after this match, Momo Kogo is the next for the high-speed championship. But it's not yet. I think we need to build Momo Kogo up a little more. I mean, she's right there. And then we build up Mei Seira more. And eventually Mei Seira, very much like Starlight Kid, very much like Natsupoi, very much like Izumi. She's ready to graduate from that high-speed division. And I think next year is being a great time to get Mei Seira some big main event matches for the Wonder or World of Stardom Championship. And this just proves that she's ready for the main event. And this just proves Momo Kogo, when the timing is right, I think she's going to be the one to defeat Mei Sarah for the high-speed championship. This is 4.25 stars. I thought this was great. A terrific way to start this show. Again, and a brilliant part from Stardom to put this free on YouTube for everybody to see. Packed, loud Korakuen Hall. This is your first official match. You know, there's a lot of people that viewed this show that probably never seen Stardom before. Have only seen the main eventers. You know, your Mayus, your Micas, your Tams, your Kamatanis, your Momos, Watanabes, that they had to be blown away by this. Because, again, I think this is within 24 hours, it was like 190,000 views on YouTube, which, again, is just genius PR from Stardom. 4.25 stars. This was great. I knew it was going to be good. I know it's going to be this good. Again, Mei Sarah is on a completely another level. I think it's only a matter of time before we see her challenge for one of the big singles championships in Stardom. And that's no disrespect to the high-speed championship. But I'm sure, partner, you and our listeners know what I mean. And I think Momo Kogo is ready to go. I think she's right there. I think she's going to be the next high-speed champion in the next 5 to 6 months. Again, 4.25 stars for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And you know, we saw it with Shuri in 2021, where she might not necessarily have been the next World of Stardom champion. However, they caught lightning in the bottle with that match at Tokyo Dream Cinderella. So, you know, we've seen it happen before. You know, most famously, perhaps, is Jumbo Tsuruta versus Mitsuharu Misawa, where, you know, Giant Baba was like, "Nah, you Misawa's going over, and he's going over clean. You're not getting counted out. He's going over clean." And obviously, I'm not comparing Momo Kogo to Jumbo Tsuruta or Mitsuharu Misawa before people start going, "I can't believe
I was thinking the same
those
thing. And when I was talking, I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, you know, you're right. And that did well for All Japan, did it not, over the next 10 years?
Yeah, it did. It did. And again,
Okay.
who knows? Who knows? It could be on the back of Momo Kogo's future high-speed run that Stardom go back to Nippon Budokan. Who knows? But yeah, it was a very good match, a very good showing for Momo Kogo once again, who continues to impress. Now, obviously, for me at least, this card was really good, really solid, some fantastic exchanges. But for me, the three main matches were this high-speed title match, the future of Stardom title match, and then that absolutely brilliant main event. But Matt, what else would you like to talk about in the middle of this card?
Let's go match 4 and match 5. Again, match 4, just because moving parts. Again, you look at this card and you're like, it's Korakuen. Could they broken that up a little more? 3 teams, 9 wrestlers. Again, it's one thing, it's 5-on-5. You just have 2 teams. But now you have 3 teams of 3 people. The degree of difficulty is different because you have an odd number of wrestlers. It's 9. It'd be one thing if it was, 4, 6, 8, but you have 9 wrestlers here. So you kind of have a weird pairing off. To the shock of nobody, Stardom delivered. They really, really did. Just really great, interesting stuff. Again, nice to see Azumi back. She was terrific here. Kohago, again, we've seen her. We do see her quite a bit on these shows. Again, this show, the next show we're going to talk about, I would love to see her be a main fixture into Stardom, especially part of Neo Genesis in 2025, because she fits them perfectly. Her and Mei Sarah as the Star Fox team were, one of the unsung heroes of that fantastic Goddess tournament. But let's talk about it, buddy. Obviously, Soriano getting the win, not with the Tom's Tundra. I figured we're going 3 hours. We're going to go about 3 hours. We got to get it in one way or another.
Absolutely.
But gets the win with Tomoka Inaba with the Potter ring. And I was like, out of all the people they could have pinned, you have Tomoka Inaba, who was just in that 4-way a few days ago. But now I know why, because it really seemed like they sprinkled in that we're going to be do something with Soriano and Tomoka Inaba in 2025. And again, we don't know where Soriano fits in to Stardom's plans in 2025, other than we'd love to see her get a red belt shot because she is terrific. And we talk all the time. Hazuki, great. Natsupoi, fantastic. Mayu and Micah, Tam, probably your big MVPs of Stardom in this great year. Soriano is one that we needs a lot of talking about because she's terrific. She was great in the 5-star, had a great run as the Wonder of Stardom champion. Her and Natsupoi absolutely crushed it in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And anytime we have these multi-person matches, we're always like, I want to see Soriano versus Mei Sarah. I want to see Soriano versus Suzu Suzuki. But it really looks like we're going with Tomoka Inaba and Soriano. And if that's a big match that we get, maybe at the first Korakuen of the new year or the anniversary show coming up. The anniversary show is the actual anniversary, but they usually do in the end of January, beginning of February.
Supreme fight.
Nagoya Supreme fight. If that's a match that we get, because we've seen Stardom, again, especially this new regime, They're not, they're all about putting singles matches on that'll be great matches that may necessarily not be title matches. See Soriano versus Miko Wada this weekend. Not a title match, but a singles match we all want. Singles match that I don't think anybody's going to say no to. Maybe at Supreme Fight, maybe at Korakuen in January. Tomoko Inaba and Soriano. Again, really seems like they teased it. Solid match, 4 stars. But for me, it's what we have to look at in the future coming out of this match, Rob. But you mentioned it. I'm mentioning it. Do we get that big Tomoka Soriano singles match coming up or in the next month or two?
Well, we've seen Stardom give us, and when I say no stakes, I mean no titles, but we've seen, big matches be built. So, why not? Why not? If you were going to make the effort to bring Tomoka Inaba into Stardom more, you obviously, as I mentioned before on the, earlier on this episode, you're clearly hot on Tomoka Inaba. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been in that 4-way. So why not? Why not give her another program in Stardom? And, absolutely, I think Soriano is the perfect challenger for the red belt. I don't think she wins it, but I think she'd be a great challenger because the kind of match that you're going to get from Soriano. We know the fantastic match that we are likely to get from her. And I think Tomoka Inaba is another one who, if you are going to bring her in more and more and more and more, she's another one that the type of match she's going to be delivering. And I think a match between the two is a stepping stone for both. So, yeah, absolutely. Santa Mayu. Santa Mayu and Reindeer Hazuki, I believe, is a match you want to talk about. And I assume it is for the jousting hat competition that we had randomly halfway through this match.
So, okay, you got Lady C and Hina. Again, wrestlers that Team Classroom, great in the Goddess Tournament. 2 wrestlers I'd love to see get a nice push and start in 2025 because they're terrific. And Mayu and Hazuki. So you know that the Stars team's going over. And then Mayu and Hazuki come out ready to rock and roll for Christmas. Santa Mayu, Reindeer Hazuki, and Kagamo was also a reindeer as well in a match.
She was.
Prior. So then the match starts and you get some comedy and you're like, okay, this is what this match is going to be. And a lot of these shows in Stardom, since they kind of did away with year-end climax, these Christmas shows are fun. You have some good wrestling again in Stardom, but it's mostly just fun. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Korakuen Hall. So I thought this match was going to be, because ultimately, how much wrestling can you do, athletic can you do, in a full Santa costume and a full Hazuki costume? We'll leave it to Mayu and Hazuki to prove me wrong, because after you get the comedy out of the way, they're doing dives. They do their double team suicide dive. I'm like, that's tough enough to do regardless. But now you're in these full costumes, and then Mayu does the moonsault. Hazuki's full Hazuki mode. Her and Lady C are going at it. Really, really solid match. But the main reason I want to talk about it is, again, Mayu in a full Santa costume, Hazuki in a full reindeer costume, still being Mayu in Hazuki. To me, that's just so impressive. 3 3/4 stars. Again, I'm all about Hina and Lady C getting a big tag push in 2025. I would love to see them square off against the Devil Princesses, the Hate Supremes, the FWCs, and a really, really big match to show what they can do, because these two really, really have been busting their humps to get to where they are. And I think it's time to push Lady C and Hina up the card in 2025.
Moving on then to the future of Stardom Championship match. Miyu Amasaki defending that belt successfully for the first time in her 80 days as champion. It was interesting because should she lose here, she would have become the second shortest reigning Future of Stardom champion ever. Matt Turner, can you remember who the shortest reigning one is?
Was it Mina?
It was Mina. For an extra Brucey bonus, can you remember how many days she held it for?
79.
13.
Wow, 13.
She won the vacant title. From what I remember, she won the vacant title after Sayurita blew her knee out. Won it in a vacant match against Unagi, and then lost it 2 weeks later to Unagi. It made very little sense because Mina was... Basically, there was only 2 weeks before Mina didn't meet the stipulations anyway. So, it was very odd.
That was all in 2021, right, Rob?
It was indeed.
And if you want to learn more about 2021 Stardom, there is a book that is out that you can get on Amazon called Chasing the Dream, Stardom's very first, 10th anniversary book of Stardom. And Rob's written about every single match in the year 2021 by my good friend, the Passion Package himself, Rob.
What a fantastic name. But interesting, Sayaka Kurora, the challenger, it's a second challenge for the belt. She did challenge Rina. But she comes out different gear. And I saw a couple of contrasting things, which I liked. So there was there's a little bit more black and white. Is she turning to hate? And then, it's a nod to Tam. Because in that tremendous white belt match between Arisa Hoshiki and Tam from 2019, June 2019, Tam was wearing her black and white gear, and Sayaka Kurora, it's a very, very generous nod to that gear here, and I really like that. It's almost as though she's doubling down, saying, "Yeah, I'm not turning. I'm not turning out unless it's the world's greatest bluff, the world's greatest double bluff. Imagine that
It
would
is
be
pro wrestling. It
tremendous.
is pro
It is pro
wrestling.
wrestling.
It is pro wrestling. But yeah, you're right. You're right. But she came out, I'm like, oh, this is a nice nod to Tam. And then when the show was over, I got bombarded with tweets and messages, but like, she was wearing black. She's turning into hate. And I was like, Google Tam versus Arisa Hoshiki and then come back to me. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's exactly what I took it from. Again, that was probably Tam's best match for years, maybe up until, the 2021 hair versus hair match versus Julia. Like, again, just another lauded match in the history of the Wonder of Stardom Championship. But that's what I took it as. Some people are like, no, she's turning to hate. Might have been the same people that told me with her and Tam on the cover of Ring Plus magazine that Sakura was in a black dress, and like clearly she's turning to hate. She's in a black dress on the cover. Like, you have it all figured out, Sherlock Holmes. You really do. But there was an interesting, cool thing that happened, and we'll talk about it at the end of the main event with that post-match stare down with Sai and Tam, which we'll talk about with Sayaka Kurora. But back to this match. This match was terrific. I didn't expect Miyu Amasaki to lose here, but very much like Momo Kogo and May Sarah, there's a couple points in time where I was like, for a split second, I'm like, ooh, maybe they're going to flip the belt. Maybe, because again, Sakura is probably going to play a major role in that main event match coming up here in just 2 days' time. So maybe it'll mean a little bit more if she's the future of Stardom champion. So again, they did put that doubt into her head, which is made for a great match. It's nice to see Miyu Amasaki, who's somebody that, remember, Rob, the first year of her career was a lot of start-stop because she kept getting injured. They put a lot of stock in her, and she kept getting injured. And then the Neo Genesis thing happens, and now she's on a roll, and she's been teaming with Azumi the last 2 years and just constantly improving in those matches with Azumi. Has one of the best future Stardom matches of all time when she beats Rina for the belt. I believe it was it Man Graham fight, right? Or was it Nagoya?
No, it was Nagoya, I think.
It was Nagoya. Because that's right. Walker Stewart was on the call. Him and Tom, and they had a great call. But one of the best future Stardom matches we've ever seen. So now she goes in with Sayaka Kurora, again, somebody that's only been wrestling a little over a year. And she's the one, again, she's the champion. She's the one leading this match. She's the glue that's got to put this whole thing together in Korakuen Hall and does a great job. I had a solid 4 stars. She did a great job, some back and forth action. 12 minutes was enough time for the two of them to tell their stories, but not too long where it might have got lost in the shuffle. Do I think Sakura is going to eventually win this belt? Yeah, I think so. But very much like Momo Kogo, it's not time. The time is not right yet to pull the trigger on it. I'm all for Miyu Amasaki having a pretty long run with this future belt because I think she's terrific. And again, she's part of the hot new faction, Neo Genesis. They're the cool kids. Excellent stuff here. But yeah, Sakura looked terrific. Nice little nod to Tam some 6 years ago. Really, really solid co-main event, semi-main event for this solid show. Again, 4 stars for me, buddy.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really good match. I gave it 3 3/4. I think Miyu is dramatically improving, and I think it's to be a champion, you are in charge of dictating the matches. And I think the fact that they have sort of shown this public display of confidence in Miyu Amasaki to begin leading these matches, I think really is a testament to how much she's improved. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Sayaka Kurora is undoubtedly a future of Stardom champion. I think she is really, really good, really good. And if you remember when we first started, when they first started, she was the one I was least interested in. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but you had Ronnie Agami, who was very sort of distinct in the fact that she was very much leaning into the shoot wrestling, the karate, the mixed martial arts style. You'd got Aya Sakura, who had debuted before, who was doing the same sort of thing. And Sayaka Kurora was sort of there And yet now, not only is she developed as a wrestler, she's developed this persona as well. And I don't know whether that is through teaming with Tam or whether it's just, something you get as you get more and more confidence in the ring. But I do see big things for Sayaka Kurora. She's got a lot of upside. She's got a very high ceiling. Again, she's been wrestling for just over a year. Whether that ceiling is a red belt or a white belt, who knows? But she has got a very, very high ceiling. I do think she's very, very good. Very, very good and very well, very much improved. This tag team main event then. Bloody hell. Bloody hell, Matt Turner.
Yeah, Rob, I mentioned a few minutes ago about my only negative was the fact that four-way with Momo, Suzu, Shuri, and Tomoka got low time. And as soon as I said it, I'm like, there's something else negative I want to talk about on this pod. And as soon as I flip my notes over, this not only is the biggest negative I'm going to be on this show, but maybe the biggest negative Stardom, the biggest miss Stardom's had, maybe not only this year, but maybe in the company's history. You have Tam, you have Natsupoi, you have Meltier, Korakuen Hall.
For God's sake.
Rob Goodwin, it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Natsupoi comes out to her theme. It's great. Tam comes out to her theme. It's great. You're telling me you couldn't come out to Flowing or Tear Tales or Double Frontier in Korakuen Hall? It's the main event right before Santa comes down the chimney. What are you doing, Stardom? It was all right in front of you. How do you not have Melty? And I was like, maybe they'll do Christmas Tam and maybe Reindeer Poi, but we saw Mayu and Hazuki. This is obviously a serious match because, again, you're building, you have your two champions versus your two challengers. How do you not come out to a Meltier song?
Maybe if the songs were better.
Rob Goodwin, how dare you, sir? Oh my goodness. Woo.
He went full Grinch. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. You just threw the Hail Mary there, buddy. Wow. Woo.
I'm just saying. Just spitting truth, Matt. That's all I'm doing. Spitting truth.
Gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Back to this match. In all seriousness, they should have come out to Meltier song, but regardless, Poi seems great. Tam seems great. This was yeah. You're absolutely right. We know this was going to be good. This was terrific. And other than maybe the 10-person tag from the first show we reviewed, this might be my favorite match of these 5 shows that we're reviewing here. Great stuff with Starlight Kid and Natsupoi to start. And it's almost like 2 different matches because they go and have your respectful match, and then it gets to Tam and Sai Kamatani, and it's like, nope, we're going all through the crowd.
There at all.
Yeah, and they literally brawl all throughout Korakuen Hall, back and forth. In the meantime, it's like the camera's going to there, and then you go back in the ring, and it's just the great wrestling that is Starlight Kid versus Natsupoi. Eventually, we do get some phenomenal Meltier teamwork, and I like that. Once like Tam gets back in the ring from being all over Korakuen Hall and all over the road or wherever she was, it's like, oh yeah, me and Natsupoi are really good as a tag team, former Goddess champions, and they get the advantage with their tag stuff, which makes sense. Starlight Kid and Tai Kamatani have never been a tag team, never been in the same faction before, so that makes sense. Where is Meltier going to have the advantage? With teamwork, and they're the 2 champions, so they get highlighted right there. Eventually, we get into some crazy strikes back and forth with Tam and Sai Kamatani. Once again, they tease the Sai Kamatani Hurricanrana to the outside on one Tam Nakano. Tam winds up blocking it. They have a little bit of an apron fight. Tam wins the apron fight, and this is a really cool spot. And again, another spot that's really hard to do from both Tam and Kamatani. Tam goes for the violent shooting on the apron, and when she goes to throw the sliding knee, Sai Kamatani comes down and double stomps Tam on the apron. I mean, that's a really contrived spot. Beautifully done. Excellent stuff there. Some really great back and forth. And then as the time is kind of ticking down, I figured this will be the time limit drop. And we know we saw the hate match a couple matches before go to the double count out. And that made sense, especially with Tekla yelling into the camera, 17, 18, 19. She wanted that double counter because, as you mentioned before, she doesn't care about wins. I'm like, maybe this goes to TLD because who do you beat here? It really wouldn't make sense to defeat any of the challengers. But are you going to have the champions get defeated? And I don't know. And I don't know which way this is going to go. It's a great 50-50 match the entire time, except for when Meltier gets a 2-on-1 advantage, which makes sense. Ultimately, though, we get a great sprint of Tam and Saya Kamatani. Again, these two have great chemistry together. We know they're going to hit it out of the park coming up here in 2 days' time. Eventually, though, it is Tam Nakano getting the surprise win on Saya Kamatani. And very much like Tekla eating the pin on Han a couple days prior, I was like, ooh, you're having your heel eat the pinfall. That's the challenger going in, but immediately gets her heat back with the beatdown on Tam Nakano. And then again, we get the big post-match angle. Again, this was great. It's another week in Joshi wrestling. It's another must-see Joshi tag match. And this was it for me, buddy. 4.5 stars. Again, nobody does tag wrestling like Stardom, whether it's 2-on-2, 3-on-3, like we're going to see in 2 days' time, 4-on-4, or whether it's the 10 person that we saw about a week or so ago. And this was great. What a great final big match. Obviously, we have New Blood in the 26th, but as far as Stardom goes, this is your final push to sell tickets and pay-per-views for Dream Queendom. And they did an absolute great job because it was, again, a great 50-50 match. Excellent stuff for the best wrestlers in the world doing what they do best, and that's just kick ass. Again, 4.5 stars for me. This is tag team wrestling at its finest with a great job building up Kamatani and Starlight Kid for their respective challenges coming up in Ryogokakiken in just 2 days' time, brother.
And that was still better than Mayu. That was still better than Mayu saying it. Moving on then to our fifth and final show. It was the last New Blood event of the year, New Blood 17, on Boxing Day, no less, Thursday the 26th of November, live and direct from Tokyo New Pier Hall on YouTube and on Stardom World, as was the Xmas year-end party, or the year-end Xmas night. That was the one. But so interesting when it comes to the attendance at this show. So the announced attendance for the show is 215. Okay. Now, this is the fourth time Stardom have run the venue, with this house being the lowest that they've achieved in the venue, with the previous lowest being New Blood 13 at 225. That was back in June 2024. It's also the lowest recorded house for any New Blood event. Again, beating out New Blood 13, whilst also being a decrease of over 47% from the last time they were in the venue, which was 406 for night 7 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League on 9th of November. Now, obviously, there is a huge caveat to that. On this show, you've got no Mikey, you've got no Mayu, you've got no Starlight Kid, you've got no Natsupoi, you've got no Azumi, you've got no, there's a whole host of people you don't have on this show, and that might explain the attendance. However, there is a question to be had, because I really like the New Blood events. I think with a lack of your Mayus and your Starlight Kids and, your Momo Watanabes, your Saya Kamatanis, and putting the focus on the likes of your Wakasukiyamas, your Momo Kogos, your Matois, your Sayaka Kuroras, your Isakuras, and people like that, it's forcing them to step up to the plate. It's giving them the spotlight when they need it. However, the attendance has been on a steady decrease. They're struggling to get above 300 people, certainly on a regular basis anyway. And it's a case, I imagine now, of I don't think they're going to get rid of the New Blood events. I'm just intrigued, Matt, as to what do you do? I mean, obviously, the quick fix would just be to put bigger names on there, to put Mayu and people like that on there. But also, does that sort of negate the whole New Blood name? If you're putting Mayu on there, who is quite, the obvious Stardom old blood, if anything, she's been there since 2011. You want to put a focus on new people. Do you take the hit on attendance because ultimately you're focusing on your lower card talent, your younger talent, so the attendance isn't going to be as high? I'm intrigued. What do you think?
I knew this wasn't going to sell well when I saw that Tam was announced. It was only a few days ago. I don't think it was more than a week that they put Tam on the show, almost as a scramble to sell tickets. And you do have, again, Tam, big star, Soriano, big, a pretty big star, and they move tickets pretty well. And again, the show's on the 26th. Not much to do on the 26th. That is usually a good day to be drawing some wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they only did about 215 people, it was a steady show. And you're right, I like the New Blood concept because there's a lot of wrestlers here that I never heard of. I've only seen 1 or 2 times, and we'll get into it. Obviously, Tam sets up an angle for her to go to just tap out, which is huge. Again, red belt champion. She may be the red belt champion walking into that show. Her and Mayu are probably like 1 and 2 as far as drawing power over the last 2 or 3 years on a consistent basis in Stardom. So it's really weird that, like, okay, they put Tam on the show. I'm like, this must be break glass in case of emergency to sell tickets. And they still did only a little over 200 people. So I think maybe you just go to the smaller venues like Shinkiba First Ring, where it's
I
just
think
like,
that's probably a better idea, yeah.
and I think that, and again, that's where Stardom, where they always ran for the first few years, and you get that old school feeling back. I have, the fact that you have Rina Azusa versus Ricer Brett in the main event, and which was a phenomenal, phenomenal matches. Again, one of the best matches of these 5 shows that we're reviewing. Just really terrific stuff, and an ultimately feel good moment to end this show. But yeah, you're right. I still think you still need to put a star or two on there, but announce it in advance. Again, I think, and I could be wrong, I think the TAM announcement was only like 7 days before the show happened. Announce it in advance. I would announce your main event, your co-main event, and what star is coming. Is it a Mayu? Is it a TAM? Is it, is it a Soriano? Or even if you do, Soripoi versus a team from JTO or Sendai Girls. Like that would be terrific. Like that would be terrific. Or you do Soripoi versus a Moonlight Fantasy, or not Moonlight Fantasy, excuse me, Devil Princess. And obviously, I know Devil Princess aren't the champions anymore, but that's like a special attraction match because we know that Azusa and Rina are moving up the card rather quickly, especially Azusa. The fact that she's younger and the fact that she's not in Stardom full time. I mean, that's the way I would do it. You have your New Blood Championship. I would put the Future Stardom Championship on this. I would have a special attraction match, maybe bring in some girls from Sendai, and I'd have 1 or 2 stars on there, whether it's a Kamatani or Watanabe or Shuri, a Mayu, and put them in like a multi-person tag match against maybe some outsiders from outside of the company, because we know that that's what Stardom does. That's what I would do. And again, I would go to the smaller venues to start, basically break it down a little. And then if that concept does work and we are selling out Shinkiba, then you can go back to the New Pier Hall, because they're a really cool venue. I really like the venue. I really like the way it kind of scales up and it gives it that theater setting. So that's basically what I would do if I was in charge.
23rd of December, they announced the full card, by the way. It is worth pointing out as well that Marigold were running Korakuen Hall that day as well. So, and 708 people turned up to that. So I do wonder if that had something of an impact on this show. In terms of the results then, singles match, Kohaku defeated Motoi Hamabe with a frog splash in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. 6-woman tag team match, the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Hina, and Ronnie Agami defeated the team of Himiko, Mizuki Kato, and Yuma Makoto of Pro Wrestling Diana, with the modified jackhammer Hina pinning Makoto in 11 minutes and 48 seconds. Tag team match, Tam Nakano and Yuna Mizumori of Cosmic Angels defeating the Just Step Out team of Misa Kogura and Samika Yanagawa, with Tam submitting Misa with the Northern Cross, a move I wish you'd use more often, as a finish in 14 minutes and 47 seconds. In a singles match, Hanoka defeated Rian with the wonderfully named Riding on a Time Machine in 10 minutes and 3 seconds. In a 6-woman tag, the Cosmic Angels team of Sayori Ano, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora defeated the team of Chi-Chi, Zones, and Soy, with Aya Sakura pinning Chi-Chi with the buzzsaw kick in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. And then in your main event, New Blood Tag Team Championships on the line, Rice Bread, Hanako, and Waka Tsukiyama defeated Devil Princess, Rina, and Azusa Inaba, Hanako pinning Rina with the JP Coaster in 17 minutes and 41 seconds to become the 4th New Blood Tag Team Champions. And Matt, just a couple of stats here. 293 matches into her Stardom career, and Waka Tsukiyama has claimed her very first title after 7 previously unsuccessful attempts at belts. Really good story, especially as we went through all of 2021, all of 2022, and a little bit of 2023, where Waka Tsukiyama could physically not buy a victory. It was a storyline. And Hanako, again, first ever title winner of the company. She's had 6 attempts at belts. She was runner-up in the Rookie of the Year tournament. Both of these women have earned titles. And, I just wish that they hadn't already gone for the titles. I felt like that diluted it somewhat, but the match itself was brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Because I know the 2 matches I want to talk about are the main and the semi-main, but I just feel like this has bled into the main rather well. So we'll start with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, my friend. Really good stuff there. And I think that I see your point. Like you always want your first big champion, like your first go at it to be your big thing there. But at the same time, that would have shortened Rena and Azusa's run, which even though it was short, was really good. And we kind of figured as we're about halfway through the Goddess tournament that Rena and Azusa, their time as New Blood champions, are going to last long because they are main roster ready, to be challenging for those belts. But buddy, I'm going to excuse myself for all maybe about 30 or 40 seconds. I'm shocked that we're about 2:45 into this one, and I haven't had excuse me. That might be the big Christmas miracle. I'll be back in less than a minute, buddy. You continue on. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's rather than it being a case of Waka Tsukiyama and Hanako taking the belts the first time, I don't think that they should have gone for the belts the first time if they weren't going to win. You've got teams in there that you could quite easily put against Devil Princess. I know that obviously you want to put Devil Princess into the Goddess of Stardom title picture, and I think that's absolutely the right decision. I think Azusa Inaba was really, really good in this. I think Rena's exchanges, especially at the tail end of this match with Hanako, were the highlights of this match. But in terms of challenges, you've got Sayaka Kurora and Aya Sakura that could easily go for these belts. You've got, I know that Ron Yagama and Lady C have gone for them, but Lady C and Hina could go for the belts. There's other teams rather than going Rice or Bread, then Rana and Lady C, and then Rice or Bread again. I feel like there's a lot of depth in the roster that you could quite easily go to rather than running the same match over and over again. I was just saying, Matt, as you return from your little Christmas tinkle, my issue is not with Rice or Brad getting the belt. I don't think that they should have been the first challengers. If they weren't going to win, they shouldn't have been the first ones fed to Devil Princess. You have got Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora that are on this roster. I know that Lady C and Rani Yagami have already challenged, but you could have Lady C and Hina. You've got a whole host of people that you're bringing over from Sendai Girls, from Diana, from, all these places. And ultimately, Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama, I've got it written here. It's Hanako's fourth attempt at the belts. It's Waka Tsukiyama's third, and it's Rice or Bread's fourth attempt at the titles.
Wow,
and
that's something.
That's all from the last two reigns with the belts as well.
Yeah, no, you got a good point. The JTO girls as well. The JTO girls, the Just Step Out girls that wrestled in the TAM match was good. I gotta close this curtain a little bit because I'm looking like Jesus again, like I did last week.
You are looking like Jesus. You are looking like Jesus. That being said, that's a very, very small nitpick. I think it was always going to be Waka and Hanako that dethroned Devil Princess, and I think it was a fantastic match to do it. So that I'm not too bothered about. Ultimately, Matt, we got a fantastic main event out of it.
Yeah, really good, an ultimate feel good story with Waka and Hanako. Rice or Bread Wanako. I think you dubbed them last week.
Wanako, absolutely. Yeah. Why they're not called that, I've got no idea.
Just combine them. Wanako brand of rice and or bread. So I mean, there it is, right there. I liked how dejected Rena and Azusa were after the match. It was almost like they had their heart ripped out. Even when they did like the New Blood picture afterwards, the two of them were just sitting down and like so rejected, and they know it's just like bigger and better things are on for this team. So even with the loss, even with them losing the belts, it's a lot of interesting things going on with the two of them heading into 2025. Again, they should be a team as much as possible because they're both young. Their singles careers are, a few years ahead of them. I would definitely, first of all, sign the Inaba sisters. We haven't said that in about 2 weeks. We're overdue. Sign the Inaba sisters. And
absolutely.
Azusa and Rena are going to be, I think they're going to be a great, great tag team in this loaded tag division that is Stardom in 2025. Like, if you need to bring them in for New Blood shows from time to time, that's fine. But they need to be teaming up to take on the FWCs, the Wingories, the O2 Lines, the Crazy Star, the Star Bomb. I mean, the Peach Rock. I mean, there's just so much there for them to do. Yeah. Like, yeah, that'd be really, really interesting. But I like the match. Really great match. Really great finish. Selfishly, I would like Waka to get the win. I know Hanako's I know Hanako's your big star, and I was like, Hanako's going to probably get the winner. I like that she got the win with the JP coaster. Shout out to the Jumbo Princess, won Himika, but I would have liked, just because of like Waka's chase is so much longer. where Hanako's been here like a year and a half, where Waka's been here for 3 years, and then we're like, she really had to fight and claw and scratch to get this win. But I do like Waka how she does that like reverse X Factor, but now she does it like as a lung blower, as a backstabber. I really
Yeah, she
like that.
does.
Yeah, debut new moves is one Waka. So I thought it was really good. Again, a really good feel good moment, a solid enough show. Ultimately, those are a really good feel moment and a great tag match to send this crowd home happy. I actually had it as I'm going through my notes here, brother. I had this baby at 4.25 stars. I liked it that
Yeah,
much. You know, just
I did too.
another solid tag match in Stardom's history, and just a really great, again, feel good moment to end this 5 run of shows that Stardom gave us as, I guess, a Christmas gift in the last week or so, brother.
Just before we throw to our Dream Queendom preview, then I think it'd be remiss of us not to mention the semi-main event and the aggression between Chi-Chi and Aya Sakura as they ramp up their feud, and that's something that's that's been boiling for a long time. To be honest, because I know they faced each other in the tournament in Sendai Girls. They've had bits fueling the feud that have gone on in the New Blood series as well. So it's nice to see that this is escalating and there's a little bit of continuity that goes through it. And obviously, the best bit is that these two just kick each other as hard as is humanly possible. And again, I'm a man of simple pleasures. That's all I want in my wrestling match. Just people to kick each other very, very hard.
Chi-Chi made her bed and she had a lie in it.
Oh, yeah.
They were getting teed on Sayaka Karora, and she just walks up to Aya Sakura, who's not legal, and slaps her full on in the mouth.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, we know we're going somewhere because their match, I think, was already previously announced for the 3rd, right? That
Yep,
New Year's
it
Dream.
was.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, all right, now I'm in. Like, Soriano's on it. Great. Zones, I'm a big fan of Soy. I've never seen before. She was impressive right out of the gate. So I'm like, okay, now you really, really have my attention. And then Aya Sakura's like, okay, once we get in the ring, you're going to pay for it. And she does. She gets those 3 big kicks that sets up the buzzsaw kick at the end. And she did not pull back, especially on those last 2. So you're like, yeah, if ultimately this was to get a little more seasoning and a little more interest into their match coming up on the 3rd of January, I am all for it because, again, stacked card. You got Athena coming in, Tay Melo, her first match in 2 years. You have that dream tag match with Cup High Mate versus Team 200K, Unagi's return against Tam. And now we're putting a lot more on Chi-Chi and Aya Sakura, which I think is terrific. That's great. Again, you're just sprinkling great stuff throughout this entire card coming up after the new year. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I had the match 3 3/4 stars. Again, everybody was great in the match. Soriano does a great job, when she's with the younger members of Cosmic Angels, leading them, basically saying, do this, do that, setting them up for success. But ultimately, yeah, this was all about Chi-Chi and Aya Sakura, and I am all for it, brother. All for it. Again, 3 3/4 stars. I cannot wait for the hard-hitting brutality between these 2 young wrestlers coming up in just about a week's time.
Completely agreed. Completely agreed. And obviously, they do have another preview tag at Dream Queendom. And speaking of Dream Queendom, we might as well head straight into that preview. Obviously, we are 2 days away from arguably Stardom's biggest show of the year. And yeah, the full card has been announced. We have got an absolutely stacked card. So what I'll do is I will read through the entirety of the card, and then we'll sort of go through match by match, give our predictions, and a little bit of an explanation as to why we have that. So we have got 2 pre-show matches announced, presumably that will be free on YouTube. We have got, as mentioned, Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura of Cosmic Angels taking on Chi-Chi and Motoi Hamabe. We've also got a singles match, Rani Agami versus Sayaka Karora. That could be a little bit of a sleeper hit on the pre-show. We've then got, on the main card, 8-woman tag team match, the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki Koguma, and Momokogo versus Azumi Meisera, Suzu Suzuki, and Mio Amasaki of Neo Genesis. We've then got a 3-way quattro battle, which is basically a 3-way 8-woman tag. So we have got the EXV team of Mina Shirakawa, Wakasukiyama, Hanako, and Rian. They're going to be taking on the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Hina, Lady C, and Tomoka Inabe. And they are going to be taking on the hate team of Ruaka, Fukikin Death, Azusa, Inaba, and Rina. Then comes an absolute volley of great matches. So singles match, submission or knockout only, Syuri versus Konami. Saori Anou versus Mika Iwata. A no DQ match, Micah versus Natsuko Tora. Goddesses of Stardom Championships match, Hate Supreme, the champions, Momo Watanabe and Tekla taking on the challengers Wingori, Hana and Saya Ida. Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Natsupoi the champion defending against Starlight Kid, and then your main event, champion, World of Stardom Championship, Tam Nakano the champion against the challenger, Saya Kamatani. It's a relatively stacked card, I'd say, Matt, to be perfectly honest, because obviously you've got that preview tag for the 4th of January, Stars versus Neo Genesis, which is absolutely going to be, in the words of Queens of the Stone Age, feel good hit of the summer. But then everything from Syuri and Konami upwards is going to be appointment viewing. Like, it's going to be absolutely wild. But then again, we've seen through the last couple of months that Aya Sakura and Chi-Chi have made their match something that you absolutely need to see, because that's going to be great. Ronnie Yagami versus Sayaka Kurora is going to be understated, but it's still going to be great. Every match, with perhaps the exception of the three-way 8-woman tag or whatever it is. It's called a three-way Quattro battle, which I actually think is a better way of describing it. Apart from that, which just seemed to be, we've got all these wrestlers left. We've only got one match. Throw them all in. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I imagine a bit of a palate cleanser. The way I've just gone through it, by the way, is the way it's listed on the website. Doesn't necessarily give you the running order, which is why I assume Fukigen Death is going to be main event Fukigen Death in Sumo Hall. But yeah, apart from that match, everything is going to be fantastic, and it's going to be must-see viewing. It's quite the card, Matt, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we made mention a couple weeks. There's a lot of things we made mention. I'm going to bring up to light here. We made mention that Mina Shirakawa is probably the most viewed wrestler on this card because, again, her matches over in AEW do 500,000 to 750,000 viewers, wrestling in front of anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 people. We're like, we just don't want to see her in a throwaway match. No disrespect. It's the ultimate throwaway match. It's going to be fun.
It is.
Palate cleanser. It's going to be fun. I personally would have had Mina versus Tomoka Inaba as a singles match. The rest of these wrestlers, and I know they're doing it on the 3rd, I would put it in a battle royal. The winner then challenges for the high-speed championship. And then I would have either Hina or Zusa Inaba win it. That's basically the way I would have done it. I would have added, why not add another great singles match? Again, looking at this card, Rob, we're going by the Matt Turner Stardom scale ratings. And I know I tend to rate things a little bit higher than most. I just love wrestling.
You? No.
Me. I always say if anything is 3.25 to 4 stars, it's something that you might want to check out. Anything from 4.25 to 4 3/4 is something you really need to check out. Anything 5 or above is stop what you're doing and watch. There's potential 7 matches on this show that are going to be 4.25 stars and higher between the red belt, white belt, tag belt, Konami versus Shuri, the no DQ, Miko Wada versus Suriano, and then that 8-person tag match, which it's on paper very well could be the greatest 8-person tag match in the history of pro wrestling. With not only do you have 2 great factions, you have 4 great teams, and that's what the great you already have the chemistry there. FWC, Peach Rock. On the other side, you have Crazy Star and you have O2 Line. I mean, and you're absolutely right. You look at Yuna and Aya versus Matoya and Chi-Chi. Again, Chi-Chi and Aya, that's your main thing. Yuna Mizumori's great. We mention her all the time. The most improved wrestler probably in wrestling over the last 2 years. And Matoya is, again, somebody that's wrestling years beyond her experience level. So Akakura and Rani Yugami, you're going to be able to have a really good match. I don't think that match will go like 10 minutes. But at the same time, those are 2 wrestlers that are like, you know what? We've got about 4,000 people here. Let's go and take advantage of it. Speaking of 4,000 people, again, something else that we have talked about quite a bit over the last few weeks is like once this card was starting to get announced, or getting close to getting announced, I kind of made mention like, okay, we're going to do Mina versus Mercedes Moné here, right? Because we're going to need to draw 4,000 people, and we need to bring Mercedes Moné in, or maybe we need to bring Mako Satomura in, and, as her retirement road, or maybe bring Dump Matsumoto in because we've seen that she sells tickets as a nostalgic act, especially with the Netflix thing. Or maybe, hey, bring Jamie Hayter over. And you were like, man, I don't think they need wrestlers from outside the company or these other stars to help draw this crowd. And I was like, yeah, I see your point, but at the same time, I think you may want to get to that 4,000 mark or whatever. And we mentioned at the start of the show, right before I just checked that there is all but one section sold out, and it says only a few left. And Stardom is a company that does a lot of walk-up business. Again, I don't know how this thing is scaled. We made mention before for the finals of New Japan's G1, they had over 8,000 people there. Do they have 4,000? Do they have 6,000? They have 7,000. I don't know. I know they opened up a couple more sections for a little more ticket sales, and they sold out within like 2 days. So there's a possibility that this is going to be deemed a sellout for whatever Stardom has scaled at. And Rob hit the nail right on the head. No Mercedes, no Dump Matsumoto. I even mentioned, let's bring Aja Kong in. Why not? No Aja Kong. This is strictly Stardom wrestlers. And you're one wrestler that spent a lot of time overseas, and Mina Shirakawa getting eyeballs over isn't in a big match. It'd be one thing if they had Mina in a white belt match. I'm like, oh, that's what's drawing the crowd because you're having a lot of people buying tickets because what they're seeing with Mina on AEW. This is strictly Stardom. This is strictly Stardom, and that just goes to show you how hot this company is, how hot really Tam and Saya are, how hot this whole entire Stardom brand are. The fact that they're drawing, this may be the biggest crowd they've ever drawn. I know me and Rob like to joke on Yuzuki Ayakawa's farewell match where they had 5,500, but it was
10
really
million people in attendance.
what was the real number, Rob? It was a little over 3,000, right?
It's
Allegedly.
estimated
Yeah.
that it was about 2,500.
Okay, so obviously this thing is probably is close. I think the highest attendance then would be Dream Queendom, our All-Star Grand Queendom last year, which was it 5,400?
5,563.
Okay. We don't know what this is scaled at. We won't know until the 29th when they give that number.
Nope.
But again, the fact that we saw all these sections sold out, they opened up another section sold out. They opened up some of these other sections more sold out. Again, I checked on Ticket PAI that they use. The one section, only a few tickets left. I don't know if that means 5. I don't know if that means 10. Again, Stardom is with the exception of WWE, every wrestling company, you can get tickets the day of. You really, really can. If WWE keeps raising the prices, nobody's going to be able to afford unless you're a billionaire. But anywho, another story for another day. It's just insane. And again, I just want to bring that to mention. I thought they're going to have to bring in, a nostalgic act like Aja Kong or Dump Matsumoto or Mercedes Moné in. And Rob, again, kudos to you, partner. You're like, no, I think they can do this just on Stardom talent alone. And not only, and they're doing it. And they're doing it. And this is going to be an absolutely insane card when we get done reviewing this in just 2 days' time, which I'm so glad that we're doing. And I love doing these live reviews with your partner. I know there's a lot of our fan base is excited to take the ride with us. This is going to probably be a top 5 Stardom show ever. I would not be shocked, but behind what they did in Budokan Hall, obviously All-Star Grand Queendom last year, a lot of us have this probably the best Stardom show. Finals of the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix. This from a quality aspect is going to, on paper, and what they built up and how many people they're putting into Ryugo Kakakikakan in Sumo Hall. Thank you, Mayu. This is going to be an all-time show, my man. All-time show. But yeah, I'm super pumped. And again, the fact that no outside talent helping them draw these tickets. What's that going to say for Stardom in 2025? Maybe they go back to Budokan. Maybe they make that mention that they're going to run the Tokyo Dome in 2026. Maybe they do a show in the United States, maybe in Las Vegas, where Suzuki wins the white belt. Now I'm just grasping for straws, but who knows, buddy? Who knows? But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited right now to preview this show because I know you have no idea who's going to win that white belt match. I have Andy Hedder's predictions. I have my predictions. I guess without any further ado, my man, we're 3 hours into this bad boy. Let's get into who we think is going to win the big show coming up in just 2 days' time.
We're going to do this quite quickly because I can almost feel Kirsty looking at her watch and wondering when I'm going to be done. So let's do this. Rani Yagami versus Sayaka Kurora. Matt and Andy Hedder, who have you got?
We're on opposite ends. Andy Hedder has Sayaka Kurora. I have Rani Yagami.
Yeah, I'm going Rani Yagami as well. Although I can see Sayaka Kurora getting the win here. I really can. Especially if she has something to do with the main event. Yeah, I'm changing it. I'm going Sayaka Kurora. Tokameki Spear. And then I think she's going to have something, whether she doesn't turn or whether she does turn. I think she is going to be something in the main event.
You switched me. I've got Sakura. All right, there we go. One in.
All right. Amazing. Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori versus Chi-Chi and Matoya Hamabe. I think is probably going to go Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori simply because Matoya is on the other side. I think Chi-Chi will retain the belt on January 3rd. Give Aya Sakura another victory here.
All three of us in agreement with Yuna and Aya. Aya getting the win. You have Matoya, the rookie. She'll eat the fall, and then we're building Aya up to that match with Chi-Chi in just a couple of days. So yes, all three of us are in agreement on the first two matches.
Stars versus Neo Genesis. Aside from the prediction that this could steal the show, I think it makes perfect sense for Neo Genesis to win this. Again, we have got Azumi, who is going to be challenging for the IWGP Women's Championship at the Tokyo Dome. You want to give her as much momentum heading into that show as is humanly possible. You know, again, anyone on that Stars team can eat the pinfall. It's not going to damage them in any way whatsoever. I've got a feeling it's probably going to be Momo Kogo. But I think it would be better if Azumi pinned Mayu, especially with the Azumi Sushi, and especially after the interviews that both have given them, have given Tokyo Sport recently, where Mayu's like, you know, very much not dismissive of Azumi breaking her high-speed record, but yeah, being quite dismissive. So I think Azumi pinning Mayu could add something here, but I think Neo Genesis win.
I agree with you on all fronts. I think it's Azumi getting the pin over Momo Kogo, but I think it'll be more of a moment if Azumi pins Mayu. Again, we've seen that Stardom's got no problem beating the Stars in these matches in order to sell more tickets to the bigger match. So I'm agree with you 100% there. Neo Genesis gets the win. Andy Header actually has Stars getting the win over Neo Genesis. So what does he know, Rob?
Interesting. Yeah, what does he know? Bloody stupid sexy Header. The schmoz match, I mean, it's literally, I can't see it having any sort of bearing on anything really. So I'm going to go with EXV because it's got Mina in it, and because you've just had Hanako and Waka be crowned the New Blood Tag Team Champions. Could be anyone though. It ultimately, not being disrespectful, does not matter.
It'll be a fun match. There's a lot of talent in there, but I agree. EXV, you have Mina, you have the new Blood Tag Team Champions, but a lot of people are going to this show and tuning in to see Mina, so it makes sense for Mina, especially your team, to get her hand raised. So I'm agreeing with you, and Andy Header isn't agreeing with us, good sir.
Shiori versus Konami. Then I've gone through my reasons as to why I think Shiori needs to win this. She's been made to look like an absolute buffoon on regular occasion by Hate. Her and God's Eye have suffered countless losses to Konami and Hate. I think this is the moment where Shiori gets that big win back. I know that you think differently and that you think it's going to be Oh, do you not?
No, I think I said last week, because of the fact that Konami had that submission win over in that show 2 weeks ago, that Shiori does need a win. Here's a question, because Andy Hatter actually has how it's going to happen. Obviously, this is referee stoppage, knockout, or submission. How do you think it's going to end with Shiori getting the win?
Submission.
Okay. I have Andy Hatter has submission over Konami. I'm going to be in full agreement. She gets the win over submission. I think she's going to be with the rear naked choke, because that's kind of the underlining story in this match is the rear naked choke. So I think it's Shiori getting the win, maybe after the Ruin or after the Vermilion World, because it affects the neck, and then going to the rear naked choke. So we're all in agreement that Shiori submits Konami.
Mikuri Iwata versus Sioriano. Again, this is going to be a tremendous match if what they've done throughout this year is anything to go by. Simply because it's a Stardom show, I'm going Sioriano. And that's the sole reason. I think if either woman had titles or anything like that, I might be swayed a little bit differently. However, I think we've had this match 4 times. There's no need to do a rematch after this. So I think Sioriano wins in a Stardom ring, because, of course, Mikuri Iwata beat her in a Stardom ring at the conversion. So,
yeah, I agree. And now the fact Mikuri Iwata has 2 wins. You know, she won the first match and she won the third match. I say Sioriano does get the win here. And then maybe we push Soriano up the card to maybe getting some red belt matches. But I got Soriano, and one Andy Hatter has one Soriano, and what's going to be just an absolute great match. And they'll be tied 2-2. If they do a 5th match, I'm not going to complain. But
no,
they may put that to bed, at least for now.
Micah versus Natsukatora. I would argue that this might be the lock of the night.
I'm going to say this is the hardest one. of the
Oh,
night for me to pick. But go ahead, good sir.
Micah's winning this. I mean, you have got Natsuko Tora, who beat her for the red belt in the middle of the year. Mike is out for blood. Yes, of course, the no DQ stipulation, of course, favors Tora, and that means it's going to be a great match. Still think Micah wins. Still think Micah wins. I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag out brawl. Micah wins.
I agree, and so does Andy Header. But I just because of all the interferences going on, and considering the fact that we do have members of EXV that we don't know what they're doing, like I would not be shocked if like a Xena returns and then turns heel, just because it is hate. We have not had not had a heel turn in quite some time, so that's the reason why I'm not sure. But me and Andy Header both agree that we have Micah defeating Natsuko Tora in what is going to be an absolute and this match is going to separate itself on the card because it's going to be completely different because this is going to be yikes in the best way possible.
Absolutely. So, Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championship match. This might be the lock of the night then in that case. Wingori.
Wingori. Yeah, they absolutely have to get it. And this may be the possible planting of the seed of Momo's face turn. Remember, Momo accidentally hit Tekla with the baseball bat. And I know you need to get going real quick, buddy, but I just want to put something in your head I was just thinking about. If Momo does do the face turn and there is no Queen's Quest reunion or that I want, Momo to Neo Genesis, Momo and Azumi, Momo and Starlight Kid, Momo and Suzu Suzuki. There's your tag teams. There you go.
I don't think Azumi will go near Momo Watanabe, and rightly so. But yes, I do. I think that will be some sort. I think Tekla will end up costing them the match, and it'll annoy Momo. Kid versus Poi.
You went from the lock to the hardest.
Oh my god!
Do you want me and Andy Header to go first?
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, here we go.
I'm gonna say Poi. It's going to be Natsupoi. And the reason that I think it's going to be Nats, oh no, because it could be Starlight Kid for that as well. No, do you know what? No, Starlight Kid is going to win. And I think Hazuki beats her at All-Star Grand Queendom.
Great shout. Andy Header has Starlight Kid winning. Again, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to say Natsupoi because I don't know if they want to do another quick title change. You know, I mean, she's only had a few shots with it. But again, at the same point, Rob, this is a win-win. Again, I just want to see a good match, and whoever comes out, I want to see them helping the company push forward. And either one is a great shout. And I do want to make mention, I don't know if you noticed, as of today, the Stardom merchandise that is going to be on sale, the new merchandise at Dream Queendom. Did you see this? That Kamatani jacket that she had on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That is new Starlight Kid merch and official Buy Poi beanies and Buy Poi hoodies. So yes, as if I don't need any more clothes, I'm Merry Late Christmas to myself because I will be picking those up once they're on sale. But I'm going to say Natsupoi wins, but this is maybe not only the hardest match to predict for this card. When we do these pay-per-view predictions, this might be the hardest match to predict, and it's going to make it that much more interesting. Again, it's a win-win. As long as the match is going to be good and nobody gets hurt, because that's the last thing we want. This is going to be a great match, but I'm going to go with Natsupoi, so I'm on an island to myself, because I think even Amber's got Starlight Kid in this one.
And then moving on, the main event, Tam and Saya. This is another one that's quite tricky. I am going to go with Tam retaining. The reason I'm going to go with Tam retaining is I don't think that you close out your biggest show of the year with a heel as your champion. I think that Saya will become red belt champion next year, certainly. You do run the risk, admittedly, if you don't crown her here, of her potentially losing steam and losing heat. However, that, she finished as runner-up in the 5-star Grand Prix, and she's in the main event of your biggest show of the year. So, I think Tam wins.
Yeah, and me and you are kind of a lot of our fan base that I talked to, a lot of them have Saya winning. I think me and you are kind of like in the minority. And Andy Header has Kamatani winning. He's got the pretty much every belt changing hands.
Would not be disappointed in Kamatani winning, by the way. Would not hate it at all. Would love it. But I just don't see it being the way to close out this show.
Pun not intended with Kamatani winning. But again, at the same time, you don't want to heel. People are cheering her. I know she's a heel, but she's not a heel, if you know what I mean. My big thing with this match is I know we're going to get something with Sayaka Kurora. We know we're going to get some interference. I don't want it to be blatant. Like the interference we got in Tam and
No.
Tora for the title belt was perfect because you got a little interference. Soriano running from the balcony down to to get rid of it. You're gonna get I want all the interference to be taken on Micah versus Tora because that's what it's there for. I want very little interference in the Konami Shuri match and very, very little interference in this. Don't ruin it. At the same time, I understand if we can do a little bit of interference, have the rest of Cosmic Angels take them out. I think it's going to be Tam. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I think because there's more with Saka Korora helping Tam not defect and keeping with Tam, because then you can build her up in 2025. She goes to hate. She gets lost in the shuffle. I say Tam gets the win. We eventually build to that big Shuri match that we've been teasing maybe at Nagoya Supreme fight. But at the same time, with Kamatani as champion, you have the Micah match right there. The Micah rematch there as well. So it's heads you win, tails you win with those last few matches. Again, as long as there isn't blatant interference. And obviously the last time Tam and Saya wrestled, there was that big injury. Again, the main thing is we just don't want anybody to get injured because these Stardom wrestlers, they wrestle hard, especially on what's going to be one of the biggest shows that they've ever done. But I agree that Tam gets the win. But again, me and you are kind of on an island almost by ourselves with that one, my friend. So we shall see if we're the ones laughing or if you're the ones laughing at us. But we all want to be laughing together on the 29th, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as we review this phenomenal show.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to join us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, 8 o'clock GMT for British Standard Time, should I say, and 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to check us out and join us for that live review of Dream Queendom on the 29th of December. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. We know it's been a slog. We know it's been a long one. We hope you have enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed doing it. Make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are physically everywhere. If you could leave us a comment and a 5-star review, that would massively help the podcast out. You can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. If you like all of your episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. You can check out the website, talkjoshi.com, for all of your show reports, all of the news coming out of the world of Stardom and Marigold. And of course, you have got all of the history, the stats, and things like that to come out of both companies. As well, you can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast, apart from on Threads and Blue Sky, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. And then, of course, you can find me at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Turner, sounds off, good sir.
Real quick, Io and Kairi watch. Io gets a win over Alba Fire and Natty Neidhart to qualify. Or excuse me, not qualify. She will win into the semifinals of the Intercontinental Championship this Monday, taking on Lyra Valkyria. So just wanted to get that in real quick. Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter and the Blue Sky as well. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. And folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Stardom Cast. We hope to see you back here in just 2 days' time for our live review of Stardom's Dream Queendom from Sumo Hall. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you because, like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. We're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.